This week on Fade to Obsidian, we will be discussing the end of Dark Age. We recommend that you have also read to this point in the book to avoid spoilers. Please be aware that this episode contains discussions about violence, death, and a not so Fade to Obsidian moment. It also contains strong language. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Fade to Obsidian, your podcast about relationships and spaceships. As always, I am Crescent, joined by Skipper, and as frequently as we can, joined by Salem.
Hey, welcome, Salem.
Yeah, thanks for coming on again.
You're back. End of the book.
Yeah,
you have to
there's
be
a
back.
big heartfelt Mustang moment. You have to be here.
Yeah.
There's all the heartfult
Speaking
moments.
of-
I was about to say, are we using the word heartfelt in this? Is that's our terms?
Have you read the end of Dark Age?
Yes.
Pretty heartfelt.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mustang, it seems to me that Salem's got a couple pictures that just showed up.
Yeah. Oh, they're over here. Hold on. I bought frames for them today, and I haven't put them in the frames yet.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So Pegasus Legion was awesome, and I heard that Crescent and Hydro were the ones that came up with this idea.
Yeah.
For my birthday, because I celebrated that at the end of June, they asked PB Doodles if she would commission a piece. She gave me
So good.
They're so good. Oh, you
Yeah,
might
they
have
turned out
yet.
so fucking good.
They're so good. So they're, for listeners, they are 2 commission pieces of me as Sovereign, because I'm Primus of the Den.
Yeah.
She gave me the original copy, so the one without all the black on it is the original copy that she put gold pen on, or paint. And then the print copy, she added the stuff on the bottom that she usually does, and it has gold leafing on it, so I need to put those in frames so that they get protected.
And she did that in a week, Crescent? It was
Really?
I think it was a
week and a half?
Week and a half or 2 weeks, maybe.
It was a fast
I'd have to go back and look.
turnaround.
Yeah,
It was
quick.
a super fast, and she was fantastic of, what version of Mustang? She was great of dealing with all 8 of the Pegasus Legion being and every time she'd post something, all 8 of us being yeah, that's great, that's great, that's great, that's great, looks amazing, looks amazing, looks amazing. So kudos to her of putting up with all of that shenanigans. But yeah, happy birthday, Salem.
You?
It'll be over by the time when this airs, but
way over.
He's doing a sale on Friday.
Yeah. This coming Friday, she is holding a sale for Cassius Prince. And then she also said that she's going to do... Yeah, bearded Cassius.
Cassius.
Oh, yeah, and she's auctioning off the
Original
Cassius.
Yeah.
The pre-institute.
So,
But this
and all
will
the proceeds
have
are going to a bird sanctuary that is local to her.
Yeah.
Yep.
But unfortunately, by the time this comes out, that will all be done. So hopefully,
Maybe we should do this as a reel.
Yes, let's do that. Someone write that down. Okay.
This
I'll do
Friday.
This Friday. If you're watching this on Instagram, it's this Friday. If you're watching this on YouTube, it was last Friday. If you're on Spotify, also last Friday. Yeah, but yeah, thank you, PB Doodle. We love her. She's great.
Yes, unbelievable
Thanks,
work.
Peebs.
Yeah. We're having quite the week, I would say, in the Red Rising fandom of, I think because we're amping up too.
There's 13 days from the day we're recording, 13 days till Lightbringer.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So we're getting a lot of, it's just fun of every day I've got a different person in my Hail Reaper, Howler Pod, Fabled Spirits.
Can we also talk about how Hail Reaper Pod shouted out you guys, and then Howler Pod shouted out the Den and Fade to Obsidian.
Yeah.
So thank you, because that was really cool. I love this community. I love how nobody's really competing for anything.
No.
Everybody's just sharing the love.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's lifting everybody else up, and
Definitely. It's
that's
great
the
for
fucking
that.
way it should be.
Yeah. And like Fabled Spirits now is like an everyday regular member of the den. We've named her Twist. She's got a Howler name now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crescent helped with that one.
Yeah.
And it was for her her plot twists, because she's a writer.
Yeah.
She has a book coming out. And for her twists in her drinks, because she's also a bartender.
Lemon twist garnishes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a great time to be in the fandom right now, I feel, with the amount of interaction we're getting. It's good. It's good.
Pierce put up another picture of his keg stand.
Yes! Yep.
And ode to several.
Yep. Love it. Yeah, he's ramping up. He's got no, not this weekend is Comic-Con. It'll be the weekend after, if you're watching this, San Diego Comic-Con will
that
be
weekend.
Yeah, and he's there, and then straight to New York is my guess to kick off the tour. So
and he added another date.
Yeah,
he added Seattle. I was really sad that he wasn't coming to Seattle, so that's why I was all in for HowlerCon. But now he's definitely coming to Seattle.
Yeah,
so it'll be fun to see him there too.
Let us know where you get to see Pierce. Yeah, we're all seeing Pierce. But yeah, let us know in comments where you're going to see Pierce. All right, what are we drinking tonight?
Yeah.
What are we... I think...
I'm going last.
You go first. What?
No, I have to go last. I've got a whole concoction here.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
I did not go to the grocery store, so I'm having a Dark and Stormy again, which is still appropriate. The last time I was on, I drank a Dark and Stormy because it was Mustang, but... Dark and Stormy because there's a lot of shit that happens in this last sixth of the book.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I like it. All right. Crescent, what do you
have? Mine's not quite as irreverent as Skipper's from last week.
Oops.
But I've got Headbanger IPA.
That's it. No.
Sorry, Alexander.
No, that's just as bad as Merlot.
Had to.
Right.
Oh, I also have...
And you have another one.
What do I have? Nemesis IPA.
Yeah.
Felt fitting.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I have a... All right. I have bastardized this. This is Crossland from Words and Whiskey Pod told me to do this. So what I got is Worthy rum. That's the key to this, was Worthy rum, which I actually it's a really good sipping rum, but I'm going to do on the unfortunate thing and add cherry Coke to it because... Yeah. I love cherry Coke, though. It was really rare to get in Canada for the longest time, so it's a thing that Howlers used to send me all the time. They'd, try and package cherry Cokes to make it over the border and not explode. 50-50. So I'm just having... It's a rum and cherry Coke, but Crossland from Words and Whiskey Pot, who is...
Gambit,
yeah.
All right, so we'll call him his Howler name.
Last name.
Gambit told me to light it on fire. It was to add... I was supposed to add heart-shaped cherries and then light it on fire. So we're going to make an attempt. When I did this earlier... okay, hold on, you gotta add. When I did this earlier, I could see the flame, but it didn't pick up on the video. So there's my sinking it. I don't think this is going to work because it's now sinking in the Coke. We're going to see. I can hear it. Oh, it's going. It's going. I can hear it and see it.
Oh, yeah. I can see it.
Can you see it?
Yeah. It's a very low flame, but
it's a very low flame. It's because the lime is fully sinking into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. I don't know if you can hear it.
Oh,
it's yeah.
It's giving her now.
There we go. Hey! Yeah, so if you're listening, that's the sound of fire. There we go. Oh, did it just go out because I moved too much? Good, because I need to be able to drink that, and I was not going to actually drink fire. Oh, God, that's hot.
Yeah, maybe
We're gonna-
don't do that yet.
We're going to leave that.
Fire do that.
We'll start with some water. But yeah, there you go. Science experiments work.
Oh, so we also, to piggyback off of that, I'm wearing our
Yes.
Worthy shirt.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
This is honestly my favorite shirt now. Like, I think I said that about June's Kitchen. I still love June's Kitchen, but this one is really fun.
It's good.
I wore it today with my ripped jeans, and I felt like I would be what I wanted to be when I was 13 and be that emo kid. So that was fun. But this is in the shop. There is a red version with a red heart. There's stickers, tank tops, whatever, and they're all at howlerholo.net.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, if you're coming to Tulsa and you're coming to the Low Draft Gala,
Oh, yes.
Yes, it's how you order that.
non-ticket winners getting fast food on Friday night.
Friday night,
Pick up a Low Draft Gala shirt.
we will find a
From the same
McDonald's to hang out and, chill.
Beat each other in the
Burger
parking lot.
King.
And we now have stickers of Hail Steve and Hail Goose Bucket that we're not even going to explain why. But if you were going to any of the tour, get yourself either a Hail Steve or a Hail Goose Bucket, or both. You could be equal opportunity.
You don't have to pick a side.
You don't have to pick a side. And what we're doing is presenting them to Pierce just to confuse the hell out of him. And if you're watching this and confused, join the den and then we'll explain. But
yeah, there's a whole lore write-up now. Thank you, Goldfish.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's like...
Also, hide. Now I've said
hide.
it for sure. Stop
Oscar, you're
complaining.
going to say it too. You have to say it too.
Hide. Hi, Hyde. Hello, Hyde. Our fellow Canadian who really wanted to be on last week's episode after we had recorded it.
Yeah. He's been hiding in the bushes for
a couple of months now.
Yeah, he's been busy with school and stuff.
Yeah.
He's back, which is great.
He's back.
Causing chaos like he normally does.
Yeah, this week's
Classic.
been busy in the den with a lot of new folks jumping in. I think thanks to both Howler Pod and Hail Reaper calling us out that we're getting all new friends and it's a lot of fun of some of the chaos going down. But it's great. It's a good time. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's jump into this.
On to the podcast.
Yeah.
On with the podcast. Can I touch this? Oh, I can touch it again. Okay, we're fine.
Everybody take a drink.
Everyone have a sip because there was a big discussion before we went live here of what order are we doing this in, and we're gonna do Ephraim first.
Yep.
So, all right, where are we at with Ephraim? He is flying away from... Pax has sent him back, is I think where we start this. And he's got to go back to Safi and the Obsidian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's gotta sneak in. He steals Osgard.
Which is great. Like, I love the heist, like, from the ceiling. Like, just going through. So good.
Pours a bunch of wine on him and then drops onto him.
Yeah. So good.
I feel like that's like so indicative of their whole relationship. Just like Ephraim's just fucking with him. Like, obviously Osgard's gonna be scared shitless.
Oh,
Well, yeah, because Osgard's blind at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, just in
one eye. One
eye. Okay.
Yeah.
But he is piss drunk.
Yes, that's what it was. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Is that you, God? It's pretty much the vibes that we get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he straight up says, like, I thought you were Askamani.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
I mean, of all times for Ephraim to come in,
right?
Let me come in the most, like, high stakes time and be like, sneaking through everything. Of course he's gonna think he's Askamani.
Yeah, the poor guy probably hasn't
Also-
fully, like, can probably only sleep while piss drunk because he's so anxious and, like,
Yeah.
and then Ephraim's just fucking with him.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's Ephraim to a T.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Ephraim T-horn.
Hey!
nice.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, like that's exactly it. Is like Ephraim doesn't give a fuck.
Ephraim's doing Ephraim things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, they grabs up Osgard, and I lost where my notes went. Oh, there we go. I don't have any notes after that. Until like until like the next big thing.
Yeah. Well, we get then. He goes in front of Sephi, doesn't he? How does he get in front?
Yeah.
They go break Valdir out. They get the
Oh,
Scooby and they
that's
break
right.
Valdir out of
Oh
prison.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they
and
were.
then-
Ephraim already understands that this is not. Because they realize that Xenophon is the mole, pretty much, and so
Yeah.
they're like trying to get everything through, and that's Ephraim asked Osgard, like, "Hey, who can we actually trust? Because everybody's in Xenophon's pocket right now. So who can we actually trust?" And he's like, "Well, Valdir and maybe the Skoogie, but
Yeah.
even then." So they go to break him
Yeah.
out.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, Ephraim basically pulls a whole nother heist to get into Xenophon's room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Spray on rubber gloves. Like,
The whole 9 yards.
yeah. And then we find out that that Xenophon is working for the Fear Knight,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
which first read-throughs, Skipper this time, did you remember that?
No, I
Really?
did not. So that was a
But-
shocker today. Yeah, you just not a spoiler for Lightbringer, but you missed everyone missed my comment in the den that said Lightbringer makes so much more sense now that I've read Dark Age again. Just it's fine. Not necessarily for this part, but just that I have forgotten so much of Dark Age that I was like, those are the people
'cause this
who
is
are
only-
alive or dead.
This is
Yep.
your only second time reading it.
This is my second time
which makes sense.
reading, and the first time was the week it came out in a mad dash to finish it. So I got to the end of it, and I was like, oh, okay, so that person's alive and that person's dead. So when you ask me these questions, it, for the most part, is the first time I'm reading it again. That's great. Or
Yeah.
first time I'm reading it. No, so that was a shocker to me that I think I kind of suspected, because when you start to have things unraveling with Osgard, like, it just didn't fully make sense. I don't know. So I think I kind of had not quite guessed it. I hadn't put the pieces together, but it made sense when it came together. That I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
It kind
yeah.
of, it kind of gave hints of like, almost like witch trials, where
Yeah.
he where Xenophon's the person that's like directing it and being like, oh no, this person, because they don't like what they're doing and they're influencing their plan, so they're gonna cry witch and say no,
Yeah.
I don't want you in there, so they're gonna try and get them out, which is exactly what he did to Osgard.
Yeah. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, I think that one definitely surprised me on the first read. Like, obviously you've been told like Xenophon's up to no good. I wasn't expecting Fear Knight.
Mm.
I think for me, and we kind of talked about this, I think part of the read along, I don't understand why Sephi sided so much with Xenophon. Like, we all kind of have those, I don't know, we have the red flags from Xenophon, but it was also like Sephi all of a sudden was like very much so on Xenophon's side, but yet she was all about all tribe. And so for me, it was like, okay, so you have this character that is taking pretty much political advice from this white, but is definitely trying to make it so that all tribe is the main thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of interesting. And I'm sure that there's a big, deeper way to unpack all that. But I thought that was kind of an interesting topic that we talked about for a split second.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Sephi, this whole book just doesn't, I don't know. There's a lot of things she does that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, I would love to know, I would have loved to have her point of view on things, just of, like, there's just a few things that it's like, you know, okay, I can see it happening, but how did we end up in this situation? And knowing her mindset. And she's always been an interesting character. Like, when we even meet her to begin with, she's so questioning of everything, which makes sense. She's been on the ice and everything, but way back in Morningstar, like, she was always the one that didn't, she never even, like, Morningstar, Iron Gold, well, Iron Gold, she's split at that point, but, well, we see her at the beginning, but she never feels like a Howler. She's not the same level of Pegasus Legion.
She always feels apart.
Even when you're in. And so I get it that then she probably feels othered and is going to make her own decisions. But yeah, the Xenophon, like, there's a few different things that it's like, how did you get there? How did you get that that's the person you would trust?
Yeah. I wonder if it had something to do with Xenophon being the one that could slow down the Yellow Death.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She does say Xenophon is the only one that can even slow it down.
Okay, am I missing? How did she? Do we know how she got the Yellow Death?
Not specifically. She says.
I think she
says something about Atalantia's poisoners.
Yeah,
okay.
She something about Atalantia, and that's like part of the reason why she was. I think that was all revealed when she explained why she was letting Valdir have a relationship with Freyhild.
Right. So I'm just wondering if the, like, I don't know, that very toxic relationship of, like, is he the one who poisoned her and then is the only one to care for her, which then seeds this, like, mistrust of you're nothing without, like, not, he never has to say you're nothing without me. Exactly. That's what I, like, it's literally a physical gaslighting that is happening here.
Yeah, and who knows if she even knows that he did it, or who did it, or whatever. She just knows that either Atlantia or somebody from Atlantia's team actually did that.
Yeah, so I just find that that'd be really interesting.
There's nothing specifically that says when it happens. It just says a gift from Atalantia. It's a designer poison. It corrupts the DNA itself, I am told.
And it will, even if she cuts her arm off, it'll spread somewhere else.
Removing the arm. If the arm is removed, it moves to find another region of the body. It has not conquered me yet, despite what Valdir thinks. It disgusts him as it should. That is why I let him lie with Freyhild. That is why I grew cold to him. What it touches, it infects.
Yeah. So it'd just be interesting if he's the one who laid the poison and is the only one with the antidote, you're then going to trust the person with the antidote, kind of. So.
Right.
Well, see, that's the thing. I was like, if it's this poison that can't be cured, why are you going to trust the person who can cure it?
Yeah, if it's not supposed to be. That's true.
Like,
yeah.
Like, am I right? Like,
yeah, little sus. But maybe you just put your blind hope into it. Like, there's people out there that will just do, right, when they're terminal, they'll just do whatever they can, and you just put blind hope into it. It's why a lot of scam artists and things happen, but, yeah. But yeah, so we know. So where do we We've confronted him. Where are we going from there?
Then we go to the queen.
Then we go to the queen, and we get...
Yeah, so Ephraim gets his heart spike triggered.
Yeah.
Yes! Oh my god, that's the best, and he has to, like, pretend to convulse, and then in the end just still gets kicked in the head.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like, okay,
I'm
cool.
knocked out anyway. Yeah.
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 Well, actually, it's even, like, it's all in that same chapter. Jesus.
There's
Yes,
that
so much
chapter
happens in
is
that chapter.
huge.
Yeah. 75's packed.
Yeah.
Because,
then we get...
Fa shows up
Yep.
at Griffinhold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And confronts Sephi.
Yeah.
But we learn some things.
Yes.
He pretty much just comes out and says it, and he wants... So we know that Volga is Ragnar's daughter.
Yep.
And Fa wants Volga because Volga is his last living heir that he can mold.
Yes.
And that is when we learn that not only is Fa Ragnar's father, he is also Sephi's father.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a very interesting... Like, he reveals that by also calling out Sephi for killing her mother, and then he goes ahead and kills his daughter, and I'm like, what? Oh, sure. And also, like, it doesn't sound like he was really in love with Aliyah.
Aliyah.
Yeah. So it's like this bizarre, like, calls, oh yeah, she was a tyrant. And I get it. She was a tyrant, and then in his eyes, Sephi became the tyrant as well. But it's just, like, to me, this very interesting, like, it feels like you're making excuses to claim the throne. Like, that's what
totally
this feels
is.
like.
No, that's
just
totally what it is.
grasping at straws over here.
Well, and it's almost funny because when reading it this time, it was like he goes and he calls Sephi out for killing her mother. And it's almost like he's trying to be like, oh, you killed your mother for your position of power. I'm going to kill you. But then he's also like, oh, but you're my daughter. But you're already corrupt. So I need somebody that hasn't been corrupt. And so that's why I need Volga.
Yeah.
I still think that it has some Vader vibes.
Ooh.
When I brought this up in the den, and I also posted it. We have a channel called Reaper's Room, and where we post all of our questions that we want to ask Pierce. I feel like Fa is kind of... He has similarities to Vader. How all of a sudden he just is like, oh yeah, I'm your father.
I was about to say, can we all do our best? Like, but what's the... Because it's not Luke, I am your father. It's just, I am your father.
I am your father.
I am your father. Yeah.
So just...
And...
Luke, I am your... Sephi, I am your father. That's my best I can do there. Yeah.
But he even has, like, when he goes to present himself, he walks up and he has the, like, metallic voice modulator because he had his throat ripped out at one point. And then he opens up his cloak and he has scars all over his body.
Oh my god, you're right. Yeah.
I was just like, I was reading it, I was like, wait a minute, like, no.
We've gone there, yeah. And then starts mooing. That might be my favorite.
Yep.
Forgot about that.
Just starts. Someone made a reference to it earlier in the den. Because this is the thing, as much as I don't remember most of Dark Age, I've been in Dark Age chat the whole time watching other people react. Because it's technically not spoilers for me, even though I've forgotten it all. And someone was bringing up the mooing, and I was like, the hell is the mooing? And listening to the audio version... where he just literally just is really full good. Move.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. So bizarre, but so good. Yeah. But, and then he, has a fight with a duel with Sephi.
Yeah, and it does not go well for her.
She didn't stand a chance.
Oh,
As much as I enjoy Sephi, especially with her current state, Fa is just like a creature that is not human anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Like, not even to mention like his Askamani are not actually human, but like he's not really human anymore.
Yeah.
So it's almost not a fair fight.
Well, we know he is, and this was a big discussion in the den, that I think it says he looks 50 rather than he should be 90 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 80, I think.
And then we got into a big science conversation that Skipper had to skip out for because she didn't understand.
I was like, I'm done. I'm done.
Was
I
that
knew the thing that they had done the tests on the twins, and then everyone's like, that's not the test that we're running on the twins in space versus on, and I was like, okay, bye. Like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't need to know how the Earth spins and changes things. And
it got to the point where I literally...
Relative physics.
Yeah, pretty much. I started pulling out the physics and whatever, and you guys have really tested me on all my math stuff. Like, this last, I don't know, month.
I
haven't been in college for 10 years, and I don't know how I remember all this.
Well, and there's so much math and science that happens in the den that, like, it's mind-blowing, and, like, kudos to Pierce that, like, he's so well-rounded in all of this that can at least fake it against all of these, like, whether or not it's real, he's faking it against these people who were actual, like, mathematicians and scientists and all of this, never mind the historian side or whatever. But right before we jumped on, actually, there's the discussion happening about last week's episode, and Merlot asked for the population percentage of death in the war. So 18 billion losing 250 million versus World War II. I don't even know what the Earth population at that time versus like the 10 million or whatever it is. And what's that percentage? And I just said, Merlot, do you think I know how to do math? Like what? What is this question?
I didn't realize this, but apparently in 1945, the approximate population of Earth was only like 2.3 billion.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I remember
We're at 8 billion now.
More than tripled since then.
Yeah, I remember, gosh, it was like, I think it was right when I started high school. We had just gotten to 6 billion.
Because I was going to say 7, now we're at 8 billion, and 7 billion was recently. Yeah. Like, that is doubled. We had
just exponentially going up.
Well, we had a fun day in the den, which was really funny. If the people are like, why are we monitoring this? That Canada just hit 40 million people, and in the den I was like, guys, we can watch it happen. And people are like, what? Why? But yeah, so like, it is crazy how it shot up, and then obviously somehow over the years, I mean, if we know Earth is dying out, they talk about that, then, and they have to go terraform, it's going to slow. So they're only at 18 billion. But yeah,
well,
Merlot was like, what was the percentage? And I was like, I don't math. I don't understand. What is this question?
Well, you also have to think about like the war that they had between trying to create the core in the society versus what it was before too. Yep. So who knows what the numbers were before that when they wanted to go terraform.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, exactly. Like the population of the society would have been way lower. And then they put Solacene in the troposphere and basically eliminated all of the pre-society humans.
Mm-hmm.
It just took several years.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're
also,
banding rapidly now.
Quick thing here. So Skipper, do you think that they had the same sort of celebration for the 40 million baby that Pierce gets for the 1 millionth flush?
Wait, what?
Community?
What?
Oh, yes. Sorry, when you said Pierce, I thought Brown, and I was like, what do we know about flush? Yes. Also, I would love to know if the doctors, like the hospital, even knew which one was the 40 millionth baby. Like, it's all done on guessing and estimation. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like Pierce's 1 million flush was probably higher celebrated. The 40 million
Oh, probably.
Canadian baby. And we don't even know it.
Everybody check out the community episode we do.
Yes.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Someday.
We're trying to convince
Later,
Joel to join us because Joel loves community. So we're now trying to convince Joel to do it. So it's going to be pushed back from when we originally planned. But yeah, the 40 million, I mean, whatever. It couldn't even, in theory, it doesn't even have to be a baby. It could have been somebody who landed permanently to live in Canada. It could have been the 40 millionth person. Because it's not Canadians, it's living in Canada. But anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Total side note. Math.
Yeah.
There's a lot of math and science that we end up doing. I don't end up doing. I go, that's fun, you're doing that, and I piece out of the conversation. But, like, so kudos to Pierce that he's able to keep us on our toes with those things and questioning them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it was the thought was like, okay, how does Fa look so young? And it's kind of the question on whether or not, okay, is it actually Fa or is it somebody like it is Fa?
Yeah, somebody totally new.
Yeah, is it the same person or is it actually him? But then we got into the science part of it of like, okay, well, time is relative. So where Earth time, Mars time, Luna time, whatever, in comparison to being outside the rim and surviving out there, you're not going to have the same amount of, like, your travel time is going to impact it and everything. So there was a lot of science in it.
How much time has Fa spent on a spaceship that's going fast?
Yeah, so has he really only been gone for a short amount of time compared to, like, has he really only been gone for 15 years?
But also, Ephraim notes that he's, like, Fa has the blue veins of age rejuvenation.
Yes.
Which is, like, ludicrous. He's like, even Julia would flinch at the cost.
Yeah. Well, and then that would also make sense too with rejuvenation because he has carved all of his little Ascomani. So he has to know somebody.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Or we assume.
The Ascomani have been carved over how many hundred years?
Yeah. But I mean,
you would have to assume that he's got contact with the Fear Knight. He's probably got access to some pretty high quality carvers.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so that
there's a lot of stuff.
I also really like that they think at this point they still think that Ephraim is just like
lying on the ground.
No. Yes, but no, they think like he's just in it for money.
Oh yeah.
They offer him a spot on the Gorkons.
Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, you're doing fine. You want to come over here? You keep switching sides.
Yeah, exactly.
As Ephraim's like, I kind of have a moral compass. Like I kind of did before, but now I really do. And you're bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he manages to use that. Okay, so we haven't even gotten to the portion now where Safi has lost the duel.
Mm-hmm.
And through her back.
Oh my god.
Blood eagle.
Like the most metal shit. Like
yeah.
It's so graphic. Like if you weren't expecting it, like you would not have understood. Like even listening to it this time, I had forgotten how graphic it was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's so gross. So gross. I didn't think I was squeamish until we were like
make a sound through the whole thing.
Yeah. She stays quiet the whole time.
Yeah, and then yells. What is it she yells?
Hirgla, and then gets her lungs ripped out. It was going to be Hirgla Ragnar.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah.
But she says, Tyr Morga will eat your heart.
Yes! Which, okay, so here's a question that, like, I read through and then was like, maybe I forgot something, and then I got a text from someone who's reading through for the first time and had to use that. how often do we actually get that Tira Morga is Darrow? Like, it's just kind of a throwaway thing,
What?
right?
It's not. No.
Oh,
It's
see, I had
mostly a
forgotten.
Morningstar.
Oh, so maybe that's it, is I hadn't linked back, because I had to check the wiki, and then someone was messaging me and had to check the wiki of, like, is this... And I was like, thank God for the Red Rising wiki. That's all we use.
Yeah.
That's how I got through Lightbringer. All right, but yeah, so I mean, Cephia then, like the dying moments, is calling back that Daryl will come, and having faith that I think some people reading through. Well, it's really interesting of this whole like there is certain things that the Den always gets back to of who betrayed Darrow, and I feel like Holiday, for whatever reason, people do not trust, and Sephi, and in this moment we know that like Sephi is still full, no matter if she's split, full team Darrow, and we get that in this her final moments, and then.
Well, yeah, it was. She's always been team Darrow, but she's never been team Republic.
That's a good wording.
I think is what it is. Yeah, she doesn't really. She never really. I mean, and you really saw that at the beginning of Iron Gold. Like, she never was really on board with all the political stuff that was happening. And it was like her side was never heard, pretty much. Yeah. And so that's part of the reason why she left, is because she just literally could not stand not being heard, which I don't blame her.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm. But I don't think she would be the one who, the conversation with Dancer is what people get back to, of who betrayed and that.
I still personally think, like, I've talked to a couple people about this, like, in my personal life, like, that have read this series or are reading the series right now for the Lightbringer release. Like, I do feel like Julia literally just said, "Hey, I have information you want to know."
Yeah.
Like, that's my thought, because I mean, at that point, if it's like, if you were to have somebody from the other side come over and be like, "Hey, I have information for you regarding your poster boy," like, being the Vox, I'm sure that they would listen.
Yeah.
And that might just be my take on it. Like, I don't know that there really is a mole. I think they go and they set it up to be a mole, but because that's the only thing that our main characters can even think of. But, I mean, who's to say Dancer is so fed up with everything that's happening that he's not just going to be like, "Yeah, sure, I'll listen."
Yeah.
Oh, they wanted peace, and he said no? Okay. And then, we're in the mess we're in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but it is, the Den keeps going back. I feel like Sephi and Holiday are the two that everyone keeps trying to throw under the bus, and I will protect both of them until my dying days.
Yeah.
I get why Holiday, like, yeah.
Holiday, like, I get it. She doesn't end up leaving with Darrow, but because she wants to protect Mustang. So it's like... Yeah.
She's literally protecting her.
She's... And we'll see that later in this, that she is the one there. That it's like, why are you doubting her when she is at all times watching over Mustang?
Yeah.
Like, these people, man.
Like, at that point, she probably could have sided with Ephraim.
Yeah.
And gone and done shit with Ephraim. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, Sephi's got her lungs ripped out.
Yep.
Yep. And Ephraim basically calls out Fa.
Yeah.
Just poor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically does the heavy lifting for the reader. Finding out why Fa wants Volga. And basically Fa asked Xenophon if he can be trusted. And Xenophon tells him no. And so he's like, "Well, kill him."
Yeah.
And then
Well-
Ephraim, big bald lad that he is, he's like, "Oh, you cockless yeti," which is classic
That
Ephraim.
line. Like, wow. And then we
and
find
then-
out that he doesn't have
then
the heart
one of-
spike in.
Oh my god!
Oh my god,
Okay,
that's the
so-
best. That's the best.
Because one of my like, I was talking with Philip from Hill Reaper Pod just before this, and I was like listing the things, the moments that make this section easier than the last section, and the quote, "Hey Milky, what do you call a piece of shit with a bomb in his pocket?" is like fucking like top 5.
Yeah. So good.
Okay, but I love that. I love that scene so much because he's literally the entire time trying to get the heel of his boot off, and he just can't. And then finally he does, and and at that point he's literally like, I wish I would have done this earlier. Like I should have done this earlier, because he was second guessing himself. He's like, no, I'm gonna let Seffi do it. She's gonna have more satisfaction. And then she doesn't get the chance. He's like, well, shit, I should have done it. And he just finally takes it out of his heel, slips it in Xenophon's pocket. And
I love that shit.
God. Well, and doesn't he like fake his spasms for a second?
That's earlier. No, that's earlier.
Or was
he
that
fakes the
just
spasm.
earlier?
Yeah.
No, he
that
does
time.
it.
Does he do it that time? I thought he just
Because he
like,
fakes
does it here
it.
too.
I'm pretty sure he fakes it, and then he
Oh.
stops and he just looks at him. Or something like that.
Oh yeah, no. His
Or does
men
he-
back away as Xenophon thumbs the control and activates the kill switch. I glance over at the white. Xenophon frowns when I don't fall to the ground from heart
Yeah.
failure. Yeah.
yeah, so he just
Still.
stands there and is like, bitch, what are you gonna do? So good.
Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, Fa's dead. Like, sure, I sacrificed myself for it.
But now
Yeah.
I get to go be with
Dead.
Trig
Yes.
as he's sitting there waiting.
Yeah, I feel the metal of Trig's ring on my finger. Yeah, soon it will be the starry sky, and we will lie beside each other forever. Fa is dead, Volga is safe. Good luck, Snowball. And then a shadow eclipses the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And Fa is alive. And everything
It's
is
not
awful.
it's not just a
Oh,
shadow.
God. No. Yeah, his fucking half his face is gone.
Like, how does this guy not die?
Yeah,
I just
Drugs, man. Drugs.
yeah.
rejuvenation.
Rejuvenation.
Really.
Drugs. Who knows what else? Apparently science you guys can't explain to me in fully.
I can't explain that. That's the science fiction portion. When it gets past the
Yeah.
science you can't explain.
True.
I tried to call that and you were all like, that's bullshit. You can't just, it's real science.
That was different, Skipper. That was planets.
Yeah.
Did you see my knife hands?
But then
But
we find out that Ephraim is worthy.
were they? Sure that. Were they? You gotta show your shirt.
Salem, come on.
Salem! Were
it's my
they?
I can't stand that. Hold on.
Hair's
Jeez,
in the
you're
way.
faded to obsidian already? God.
Oh god.
No, I still have more than half my drink. It's
I
fine.
was gonna say.
My bad.
Yeah. And so the
That's
heart ripped out,
That's
and then still
Takes a bite.
alive. Because all right, where's our yellows on this one? Like
Nowhere to be found.
how long? Oh wait, well, so
Oh, I see what question you're asking. Okay.
how
I'm
long
looking
you
at it.
live while your heart doesn't beat? Because I think it's like a few,
I mean,
At
you
least
can.
several
probably a
seconds,
couple
I'm sure.
seconds.
Yeah.
Because it's as long as you're alive as long as your brain has
as oxygen.
Yeah,
oxygen.
well, and even then, after sometimes it's believed that after you stop breathing, your brain will still keep thinking.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, okay, to throw it back to the den, Pierce today called Badger Robespierre, because she brought up the guillotine, and to throw in the guillotine to this, when you lose your head, it was known for up to 20 seconds people would make faces during the French Revolution. So you got at least like a few seconds that you can survive just a head. So yeah, he gets to see Fa eat his heart.
Yeah. This is a whole set of metal as fuck chapters.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, I have an answer.
Okay.
So you can, and this one. Okay, first fact I knew: you can live without your heart beating for up to, like, if your heart stops beating and they resuscitate you, the first 10 minutes you will have not as much brain damage as you possibly could. Anything after 10 minutes, you may have irreversible or life-threatening brain damage. The Google machine says a person becomes unconscious quickly during cardiac arrest. This usually happens within 20 seconds after the heart stops beating.
Okay.
So without the oxygen and sugars it needs to function, the brain is unable to deliver the electrical signals needed to maintain breathing and organ function. So the whole time, Fa's ripping him apart and eating him if he does it within 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and literally he's got this hand that it talks about is like his nails are metal and they're like sharp as fuck. And I'm pretty sure he just goes up under Ephraim's
I was going to
chest,
say, you
or,
have
like,
to go
under
up
his rib
under
cage
the
and
rib
just
cage and then
yanks
And
the rib-
through the
yanks
diaphragm.
the heart out. Yeah.
I mean, but if he's just got a little torpedo of metal fingernails.
Yep. And, 400 pounds of obsidian muscle.
And how much of that is actually real muscle and not modified at this point? Like,
Does it
I'm
matter?
sure this is his.
Does it matter?
That's what I mean. Is like, I'm sure that at this point, this is his thing. This is his calling card. And so he legit has made his entire being about this. So he has changed everything about him. So he can do this.
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to pour myself another drink on that one.
Excuse us while we have an intermission.
Yeah.
Are you
Light this
worthy?
one on fire too?
What did you say,
You're
Crescent?
gonna light this one on fire too?
No, because my lime is dead. The lime fully got submerged in the Coke, so no, we're not gonna. That was a one and done. There we go. Well, that's it from Ephraim. So
Yep.
I
So
feel
no
like
character is safe.
no character is safe. That is, I was gonna say. Well, that's not what I was gonna say. But anyway, I mean, we will see that Darrow still survives to the end of this. But the point of views, having so many different point of views, I think made that more impactful. And especially now losing one, that we could lose Darrow rather than the first three. It's like, well, you're not going to ever lose Darrow. The book ends. And then at least when we get into Iron Gold, it kind of is like, well, all right, we've got Iron Gold has the 4 point of views, and then Dark Age we get Virginia. But it's like, are we going to lose these people? And like, I think the closest, Darrow a couple times and Mustang the once for sure. We almost lose them. And then you're like, oh no, but they're fine Dark Age, at this point, when we see Ephraim gone, it is the nobody has plot armor. No. There's literally nobody in this book who is safe. Nobody's got plot armor.
We were given a false sense of security thinking that all of these characters were safe.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I think it's it's pretty brutal that it's the first point of view death.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I think it, like, I don't know that I've ever read a book where a POV dies and it's not the end of the book. The story still goes on.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very good call out.
Like, I've read a few POV, like multiple POV books, but like, I don't know that I've ever read one where one actually dies, which is really intriguing because I feel like it would definitely, I don't know, you need a certain tone for that to, I mean, obviously this one had it, but I think it's interesting to see from that person's point of view or that character's point of view what it's like to die.
Yeah. And done in a way that, like, I mean, we just did the research. It works. And it's not just the, like, you know, a rock fell on me and, like, oh, I see a rock coming down.
Rocks fall, everyone dies.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, yeah, a rock fell. And you're like, well, then what? At least this one, it's, like, a very clear, he is eating my heart. And so you know. And, like, very interestingly done. And very, yeah, as we say, it totally sets the scene of absolutely nobody is safe. Which we had suspected, but the amount of times Darrow continues, and Lysander, I would say, is the other one, who continues to, like, Lyria's had a, I don't think Lyria's really had a close call that she would have, like, I don't know if there's a moment in this that we actually think Lyria's gone, but Darrow, for sure, Lysander, maybe, and then, yeah, now we have Ephraim, like, nope, we're calling on it, of nobody is safe, nobody has plot armor. We know that going into Lightbringer, there's no new point of views, so we don't know, let's just claim that we don't know whether or not all these point of views come back, but it's, there's no new point of view to replace Ephraim, so what does that look like for our remaining 4 points of views? Yeah. Any of them could be gone at any moment. Like, so super, super interesting, super... And, like, Ephraim's a really interesting character for it to be the one to happen to, that he was the one kind of most disconnected, like...
Definitely.
Like,
he definitely wanted... It was almost like after Trig died, he wanted to be relieved. And that's why he took his Zolodon for so long.
Well, I mean, Holiday literally says it. She says it to Lyria at the end of Iron Gold. She's like, Ephraim wants to die, but he can't.
Doesn't he try at one point? Doesn't he try and jump?
He just about jumps before Gorgo pulls him back.
Yeah.
The fist the size of a small dog takes him to the darkness.
Yeah. And so he finally gets... I don't know if it's what he wants, but it is, his relief is the good motion. And he can do it and in his an honorable way. It is a very honorable way. And he's undone the wrongs that he did of taking the kids. He's found his honor back. He is, like, it is... I feel like worthy is a good word for him.
Yeah.
It's very good. As much as it's said by someone who does not understand, like, why Fa claims him worthy, but, like, for the rest, worthy, he is worthy.
Which is funny that you say that, because I feel like that brings it... So I also made another connection, and it may just be me, like, overlooking it, but I made a joke about, because Osgard calls him Tin Man. And I made a joke that Ephraim is really similar to the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. And I think that kind of wraps it all up, because he has a Zolodon. He pretty much is removed from everything. He's heartless, air quotes. But he definitely is not all in it with his heart and his emotions, and he doesn't show any empathy because he doesn't want to. And then by the end of this, he has found a heart. He has found some sort of meaning behind all these actions that he's taking. And then, lo and behold, somebody is able to rip his heart out and show him, you do have a heart.
Wow.
It's the most metal Tin Man ever.
Definitely. Wow.
Yeah,
And
I
if you
remember.
go,
I
oh
remember
my
seeing
God.
this conversation.
I'm going to go back and do a deep dive into like the old Frank L. Baum, like original Wizard of Oz, in which the Tin Man doesn't have a heart because he fell in love with somebody.
Oh.
Yeah. So he was a human who ended up being switched out. And we're talking 20 years ago I read this. So somebody can correct me on this. But for 100%, that he was in fact in love with someone and was not able to be with them, and then had his heart removed because the heartbreak hurt so much.
So bad. Yeah.
So that's a huge, that he this whole time is dealing with that heartbreak of, and then does have heart until the very end. So you get but that's that's gotta be a reference.
Yeah.
That's gotta
Here's a
be.
better
I
reference.
don't know.
Wow. Now I want to go
We'll have
back
to
and
ask
read the
Mentalsa.
original.
We'll ask him in
Original books.
Tulsa.
Yeah.
Is this one of the ones that you're most proud of that nobody's got?
Nobody's caught?
Nobody's caught it.
Caught.
Oh,
I've never seen it before we had that discussion.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think I put that one in Reaper's Room too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where it was.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Mind blown.
And not just Wizard of Oz, well, like movie Wizard of Oz, but book original. There would be more backstory on that one because the Tin Man did originally was in love with somebody. Yeah. Wow. All right. Any other comments on Ephraim before we, unfortunately, I mean, we get to come back to him. We get to come back to him slightly, but I feel like now is the time for, other than him and Volga. No.
Nope. I think
all right, we'll come back. So we're gonna move on and do the big chunk of this chapter.
Yeah.
The biggest takes up
the
most
biggest
of
portion
it.
of this section.
Yes.
Is the Darrow and Lysander, which once again, I feel like this whole book we've done them together. I don't know if we've done a single episode in which we get one and then the other.
We did.
Did we?
It was episode 3.
Okay. But for the most part, this entire book,
Darrow,
they mirror each
other.
Yeah,
Lysander's off fucking pulling his
Oh, that's right. He gets stuck in the desert.
And Darrow's climbing obelisks and
right. We did those separate, but
fucking shit up.
Most of this book, it is them going
most of this book,
back
absolutely.
and forth.
Yeah.
And so we're entering in. I think this one starts with the him hanging out with Lysander with Glarastes, and then Alex and Rona show up. Is I believe the beginning we're picking up at this point.
I want to know what the reason Alex and Rona went over there to go chit chat.
Just hang out. I feel like
hang out. Like
I feel like Alex is too naive. That's it. Yeah. And Cato technically saved Alex in the end, and even like Darrow says that of like, yeah, you brought him back to me. But it is a very interesting, like, they're just, and Rona's the one who knew, like, I told you that we were imposing and we should have called first. Like, I love that. This is, okay, let's talk relationships. Let's not talk Lysander for a second. Let's talk Rona and Alex being on a date, pretty much. Let's go meet. Like, Rona hasn't really met Cato, so Alex is like, this is my new friend, let's go meet him. And them going, and then I just like this, like, Alex being his, like, entitled self for once, and Rona's like, I told you we should have called. Like, totally that person who, like, when you're, like, out in public, and the one partner snaps and the other one is like, no, honey. Like, I fucking told you. Like, this is how it's gonna go. We should have made a reservation. Well, the hostess should just seat me. Like, no, it's fine that we're on the wait list. We're okay that we're on the wait list. No. Like, I just like that the cutesy, like, back and forth as they're going through. Which
Well,
is
and I
then
even-
totally undone by Lysander being like, the child is
Yeah.
here.
It's okay. Like, I really enjoy the way that Rona and not Rona and Lysander, Rona and Alex
No.
have really they bonded over this because like she was so upset that he was gone. She thought that he was
Yeah.
dead,
Oh, yeah.
and then he comes back from the dead, and she's just like, nope, all hands are off. Like it almost reminds me of when Severo did his stint in Morningstar, and he freaked Victra out so bad.
Oh yeah.
And
100%.
it kind of gives me similar vibes like that, where they're literally like, nope, this isn't gonna happen
Yeah.
again. We're doing this now, and
it's
Well,
the you don't know what you have till it's gone.
yes.
so,
exactly.
so Salem, you will not have watched last week's episode, and
Not
I
yet.
think, who knows, there was 2 parts to that one. Half of it is not even released while we're doing this. But what we compared Alexander in the hospital room and Rona not leaving his side to Darrow in the hospital room
No,
and Mustang not leaving
okay.
his side.
I thought you were gonna say Roke, and I was like, what are you talking about?
No.
Because Roke didn't leave his side either.
No. But it's Darrow and Mustang, which then our ongoing joke was like, that one was we get a Fade to Obsidian. We don't know. For all we know, there was a Fade to Obsidian moment between Alex and Rona, and Darrow has just blocked it out. Like, I'm not looking over there.
Okay,
but
the space that they have, like, even if it wasn't the hospital scene, like, I'm sure something has probably happened since then because they're young 20-year-olds that literally don't care. Like, they're not
100%.
they're not I don't want to say conservative, but more of like aware. Like Darrow's very aware of things, and I feel like Alex and Rona are like, nah, fuck this.
Yeah.
And then they go off somewhere.
For
like,
sure.
True teenagers.
But I feel like that...
Also, like, we know that there is no possibility that it will cause...
That's true.
Children.
Yes. Yeah.
Rona
exactly.
is not carved, so...
Yeah, neither of them are carved.
Yeah.
So, but...
Well, more than a little bit.
In that capacity. But...
Yeah.
But I think
also,
calling back to Golden Sun, I was just going to say calling back to Golden Sun of, it's that same thing with Mustang of she was very standoffish. She's like, I don't know, like we had our eggs and bacon moment, but she's not fully letting him in. And then Darrow is like in the hospital bed dying and finally wakes up and she's like, now is our moment. And like, I feel like that's probably the same of like, Rona's been waiting of like, I thought you were dead. I didn't think you were coming back. And then he's like waking up in the hospital wing and Rona is probably also like, now is our moment. Like,
yeah. I also want to say there is a reason that they went to the library. Where did it say? Departure is imminent, and I told Rona it would be a crime against culture to depart without a tour of the Lady Beatrice. It will likely be months before we're back again.
Okay.
So it was
to see the building.
It was a date.
Cato.
Yeah, exactly. It was a date, but also.
Like, all of a sudden, like everybody's in there.
Alex knew that they were going to be coming to visit Cato, because he says, "Fear not, Goodman. I know better than to insult local customs. I brought a bribe." He tosses me a bottle and winks. I hear Arabians simply adore Venusian brandy. So he brought him a bottle of alcohol.
As is like,
okay, but did he?
I go to someone's house and I'm like, "Here's the wine."
Okay, but like, did he bring that bottle of alcohol to be like, hey, don't come in here? And they were gonna go do stuff in the library?
Listen, we've all had fantasies of being in the stacks. We've all done it. We're all nerds.
Quiet.
We're all nerds. Ooh, that's a good call out. Ooh. Yeah.
I don't know that I didn't even pick up on that, but like as soon as you say that, like I came with a bribe. Like
bribe for what? Not a housewarming, not a like leaving.
No. Yeah.
Not a like, oh no, here's your bribe. Good call out. Good call out. And then that does explain why then Rona would be like, oh my god, like, because
He's
as much
here?
as
What?
well, and as much as Rona, yes, now lives with Golds and is whatever, was definitely raised in that conservative red household that you are not going to just openly have sex with your boyfriend. But like, so she probably is like, oh my god, I told you we should call first. As though like, there's somebody here. Like, what have you done?
I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Can we? Oh my god, that's so funny. That's just, it's amazing. But the unfortunate part is all of this is mirrored of we're going back to Darrow at that moment learning who Kato is.
Yes.
Yeah.
As we're all, as readers, screaming at him, like, you know who this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was...
This is the definition of dramatic irony.
Yes. I love how they're like, oh, yeah, well, he doesn't come up in our database. And then it's like, well, your database is limited to the people that you know. Like, obviously you don't know him. Maybe you should broaden your search. I don't know.
Well, and that's, I really like that Darrow has...
access to the Star Hall data.
Right.
But I love that then calls back to why Darrow... I don't know if that's why Darrow was in Sevro's palace, as he calls it.
Oh, he's getting sardines.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's getting sardines. But then is like, in that moment, figuring it out and is like, oh shit. And luckily has the cloak with the blood on it. And is like, try this. Like, in which, that is, I feel like, a very dramatic, you're going back and forth of like, the nice, whatever conversation, slightly awkward, whatever, it's fine, to Darrow having a full freak out of like, this is who that is. And then almost nearly at the same time, Lysander realizing like, I gotta get out of here. And killing Pup 1.
Yeah. We just got him back.
We just got him
Motherfucker.
back.
And it's not...
What did you call him? Anti-fucker?
Pixie.
Yeah.
Pixie.
Or did you say auntie? What?
Yeah.
Auntie.
Which one?
Anti-Lantia.
Oh.
We're not there yet.
So true. Like, part of me wants that on a shirt, but I'm never gonna wear that.
No. No. We might put that. Nobody buys the Fade merch anyway. That's our next Fade shirt. For the one person who wants it.
Instead of bitch sander. Anti-fucker.
Kristen, that might be your best. It might be the fire talking, but that might be the best. Wow. All right.
Okay, we'll put that on the back burner because we're going to come back to
pressure. Give me a second. I gotta go wash my hands.
Wow.
Okay. Not me over here crying.
How would you even spell it though? Like it
A-U-N-T-Y.
Oh, I.
I would do an I, and then a dash.
The and then fucker.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what's going up on there on our merch shop next week. Right next to there's no therapy in space.
Obviously. I feel like you just need like that to be a whole line.
Just anti-fucker.
It would be A-U-N-T-I-E.
No, we're gonna
do
say
the E
no
though?
E because then it's like anti as in like anti-whatever. Yeah.
Well, then it would be ANTI.
Yeah, but then we want
I know,
the
but
U
you do
so
the
that
U.
it's clear that it's the ant.
Auntie fucker.
Auntie fucker. Wow. All right. I don't even know how to come back from that.
I was gonna
All
say,
right.
how do you recover from that?
So
okay.
We led into that because this is the thing, is he is not even fucking honorable about it.
No.
He literally knows that Alexander would be the better duelist.
Yeah, so
and
he
so
just
shoots him.
Yep.
See,
Lysander is honorable until
in
it's
his own
convenient inconvenient for him.
Yeah. And then
Also, God, what a pretentious douchebag. Who is your favorite poet?
I'll pick for it, and then picks for him.
And then picks for
Which who else? There's someone else that he kills and says, "Who's your favorite poet?" and then quotes.
Seneca.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we lose our Alexander, and Rona he cuts down.
He knocks out or hurts.
Yeah, he grabs her, pulls her to him, punches,
breaks her,
smashes her jaw.
Right.
And leaves her unconscious.
Also, how over dramatic is that? You can't just excuse yourself. Okay, I'll say this with a grain of salt. Lysander is smart, but he's book smart. He's not street smart.
No.
And he can't even come up with an excuse of, oh, sorry guys, I can't hang out. I actually need to go do this thing. I got something.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go do this thing. Or
literally anything.
Could literally be anything, and then they would have left him alone. But instead, he's like, they're not gonna get out of my way. They're not gonna leave. I'm just gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Why is that even an option?
Because Lysander's a piece of shit.
But does he also know that for future, it's probably better to not leave Alex alive? Right? Long term.
What do you mean?
Well, just long term Alex being one of the best duelists.
Oh, if he ever had to fight him again.
But honor would be, this guy kind of saved my life.
Yeah,
but he doesn't actually have honor.
Saved Alex's life.
I think he's trying to make his honor.
Thinks he does.
Yeah, he's trying to make his honor, and he's not doing a very good job of it.
No.
I don't understand how, I want to know what he thinks honor actually is. What does he actually think honor is, and how does he think he can get to it?
Atalantia.
Oh my god. We're not there yet. This is called Fade to Obsidian, so we have to spend a whole chunk of it on
moments in that though too.
No,
that's not even a fade moment. That's literally up front and center.
We're gonna have to spend a bunch of time on it. Just wait till we are forced to get there. I don't want to think about it right now.
Okay, fine.
I'm mourning our boy.
Books are just coming so easily, like Lysander must have.
This is the stuff
Jesus.
we are gonna put into the Patreon when it launches in August. This is just gonna be the short version shoved into the Patreon.
If it hasn't been said yet, Fade to Obsidian is going to start a Patreon.
Oh yeah.
In order to help fund some of their stuff to get new equipment, and do some upgrades and things.
Yeah.
So if you want so if you want to,
is that the What Would Crescent Do bracelet?
It is the What Would Crescent Do bracelet. Oh, I should have it this way.
There you go.
Nice. Made by Salem with love.
Made by Salem with love. We are, I think August 1st, which is Crescent's birthday, we will launch, we haven't actually discussed, but I assume we will launch the Patreon It's like the lowest tier is the lowest you can do on Patreon because we want to keep it open, but we would love to continue having this going with new equipment, and we're going to put on random things. People have requested a blooper reel, so I'm just going to do things like these jokes would end up being the day of
Full
or whatever.
montage.
Full montage of these stupid jokes would come up way before the episode airs so that you can see them early. And we've done we pulled it in Howler's down of what people want to see, and books outside of Red
Behind the
Rising,
scenes, blooper reels,
blooper reels, behind the scenes, monthly watch of Community is what I threw in there because we'd be real good at that. But yeah, anyway, that is more to come once we have it up and running. But this would be the prime thing to do, is like just these monstrosities before the episode, so you can go back and go, what was that joke that Crescent made, without having to watch the like 2 hours that this is going to be, longer than probably. Yeah.
We're at an hour 20 already, so it's going to be well above that, I'm sure.
We're keeping it under 3. That's the goal.
Yep.
All right, moving on.
Hey, book it.
Okay. So
Lysander has killed Alexander and named Rona.
Yeah. Can we also talk about how Alexander, just on top of him not being honorable but thinking he's honorable, he also refers to Rona as a child soldier
continuously?
Yeah.
Like,
the child's
same age
here.
as you. She's the same age as you. I get that she's little, but like, are you serious?
It's fucking space racism on full display.
Gross.
But we do get in that last moment.
She is particularly offensive today because she's showing her arms bare to show off the
she's got the
yeah. And he thinks that Red shouldn't have upgrades.
Yeah.
And
we relationship-wise, we do also
he calls it a condition.
And calls it a zealot, isn't it?
A zealot?
A zealot?
Zealot, yeah.
That's
later.
Yeah, a zealot, this one. I must tread carefully.
Yeah.
So just literally the whole paragraph is just utter garbage.
He's just so bitter about everything in his life, and that he's now bringing that into the light and giving that to everybody else. And it's like, that's... You need to go to therapy. You need to figure your shit out before you start leading people. Like, I don't understand.
Well,
like,
there's that... Sorry, go
on. The passage, like, the 2/3 or whatever of the paragraph, like, I find her particularly offensive today. She wears her arms bare to show off the unnatural bolts that permit low colors to parody the blue mind sync, which is kind of a mononym, or mononym, parody, and parity being the same. The blue mind sync with their vehicles. And then he calls that a condition compounded by her color's adverse disposition to disciplined warfare, creates anarchy in a single individual. A sort of dissociative mania, which I can see behind her eyes, and then calls her a zealot. And it's like, what the unholy fuck?
Yeah.
She's just a person.
Yeah, you're literally just judging her.
She's not...
without knowing her.
Oh,
but I think it's then easier for him to reduce her to not human. Is what he's doing.
100%.
He is...
Well, and that's...
100%. But
and that's entirely what racists do. They make it so that they're not human in their brain. They make it so that they're not equal, so they're not going to feel for them.
For sure. I was going to say the thing I like is before he kills Alex, the back and forth of the cousins. Of who is the last heir of Arcos.
Yeah. How about you pull that big iron from your boot and we settle who's the heir of Arcos?
Yeah.
And it's that, like, on ebook, it's like this much of a page. Like, it's almost nothing.
Yeah.
And in that little section, we know who the heir of Arcos is.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, if we didn't already, which of course we did because we've seen inside Lysander's head for the last 2 books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we know that Alex is the kind of man that Lauren would be proud of.
Yes.
yeah.
Lysander's is garbage.
But then still we get that Alex has been told kind of, I think it's that Alex has been told his whole life of like, oh, the prodigy child Lysander. Oh, like,
Yeah.
Perfect
oh.
Lysander, yeah. Cousin
Yeah.
Lysander.
So I do just different type of relationship, the family relationship of, and I mean, in theory, Lysander's last blood relationship, I believe. We don't know of anyone on the loon side. He's the last loon.
Any child of the widows of Arcos would
You're
still
right.
be Lysander's
Would
blood
be,
relatives.
yeah. Okay.
But at least one that studied Arcos's stuff. So
Yeah, I was just thinking more of like
Yeah.
he's kind of
I would say, yeah. First, I think the eldest
yes.
Arcos
yes.
at this point.
Yeah.
Can't guarantee because we don't know most of them, but
Right.
Yeah.
Does that then lead into Darrow's reaction
Yes.
to that?
yes.
Because then
Chasing Lysander across Heliopolis on grav boots and through buildings, and then the EMP goes off.
Yep.
Yeah. And grounds absolutely everything.
And then the Sunbloods.
Yes. Okay,
Well,
so for whatever reason, when I was listening... Okay.
First of all, we get to see Darrow react to Alexander's death.
Yes.
And Rona, this is when we learn that Rona is still alive, because she comes around the corner.
Yeah.
That, like, in my reading today, I had thought she was dead at that moment, and then at least comes around the corner and gets to say, like, I think she's the one who says it was him. Like, yeah. And we know she's then taken by the Medicae. But, yeah, we get the, Darrow, this is, grieving for basically his son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even in that moment, does he talk about how... Oh, maybe that was my own thought. But it was more of like, yeah, he's the person... I know Darrow does mention that Darrow feels that he wishes that he would have had that relationship with Pax. And how he put so much of those teachings into Alexander. And it's just like that moment of, okay.
I think
that's earlier.
I think that's earlier in the book.
But still, we know that Darrow feels
same
in
thought.
that capacity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get a very grief-stricken, but then can't deal with it. He's got to deal with everything else.
Yeah. He needs to go after Lysander because now he knows who Lysander is.
Yeah, he's got to shove Darrow down. The Reaper's got to come out.
Yeah. And
which turns out, I guess Cassius taught Lysander how to fly grav boots.
Yes.
And apparently did too good of a job.
Cassius, come on. Sometimes your parenting is terrible, and sometimes it's great. Flip when that happens, please.
Yeah.
I had a whole ongoing thing with my friend Noelle on Twitter today of Cassius should have picked up a parenting book, and we were going on it, and there's a gif that says something about, like, am I a terrible parent because I hate my child? And, like, we were going back and forth about Cassius really should have, like, tried to raise that child, done a slightly better job, and now probably has major regrets and things.
Dude, and I feel like Pytha was the one that was, like, was trying to be, like, the stepmom.
Yeah.
But like Lysander was just like not having it.
You're not my real mom.
You're not my real mom.
Yeah. You're a blue.
Just a blue.
You're not my real mom.
And then she's just like, okay, fine, you're a little shit.
Yeah. But yeah, we get from this point forward very action sequence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The flying around.
That's all there is, I think. Pretty much.
But it's interesting, in my head, I think I had this and the beginning of the book reversed as I was remembering it. because there's so much that
Oh.
happened in this that I was like, when I was reading the beginning of the book, I was like, where was that? And like things that in this portion I thought happened earlier and now they were happening, and I was like, oh, because I had, like, as I was listening to it, the like trampling of the horse, or the horses trampling them all, and that, like, the cavalry coming in and all of that was like, I had always thought of that coming way earlier in the book and not in this last section, which is just a bizarre,
I had something kind of similar. I forgot that Alex got shot by Lysander. I thought Alex got trampled.
oh,
So then all of a sudden that happened, and I was like, okay, and then there was no justice for him at all, and it moved on to the Sunbloods, and I was like, how did I remember that so wrong?
yeah, I think just because that Sunbloods is
Happened
so
so fast.
impactful. Well, it's so
yeah.
like, it's
Really
one of the few
impactful.
things that I really remember. Like, I forgot where it landed in the book, but I truly remembered, like, the moment they said that they were in the Hippodrome, I was like, oh shit, this is the part, rather than I was like, was that a fever dream? Like, what is happening? And I think also it speaks to how quickly Alex went, that you placed it in a different part. I remember having this conversation. This is months ago. Like, when we were reading, I think, Red Rising. No, I think it was Red Rising. And a conversation came up in the den of, like, the saddest death. And I can tell you for sure it was Dram said, Pup 1 and Pup 2. And Pop Top side messaged me being like, who's Pup 1 and Pup 2? And I was like, I don't remember. Like, because he hadn't read it in so long. I hadn't read it. And we just, like, along with Dram, we're like, yeah, totally. And I had to, like, wiki and then side message him and be like, this is who it is. Like, so then this whole book went through and was like, when does he die? Only remembering that he died because Dram had made a comment about how Pup 1 died.
Right.
And we were like, both Pop Top and I were like, who are Pop 1 and 2? And what happened? Rather than, like, the horses charging, I think is a huge, like, that's ingrained in my memory, not necessarily when it happened, but 100%. And them, the Republic using fence posts and everything, and I just could remember of, like, oh yeah, they somehow get their razors to be as like out as they can be.
Their longest, thinnest setting.
Yeah, so this whole section is very much stuck in my brain, and I could tell you it's when I was driving from Montreal to Ottawa. It was a 3-hour drive, and this is what I was listening to from that portion. And scared that a moose would jump out at me at any point. And listening to this, that it is a very sequence, and it's very cool that it goes back and forth between the Darrow and Lysander that you get to see, and back to mirroring the beginning of Lysander almost being scared of where Darrow is.
Yeah.
Almost, like,
very much.
He's scared.
Scared of Darrow.
Hyper aware.
And then I was like, listening to it today, I had forgotten the Thraxa parts, that I was like, you fucker can't even, like, he says something about, like, I don't need to look to see who it is. I know it's a Telemanus, and knows immediately it's Thraxa. And it's like, fuck yeah. And he's just running from her as she's, like, rips through
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah, like, it's like, I tip a bookcase at her, she goes through it. Like, fuck yeah, Thraxa.
So this section has a few of my favorite moments of the book. So after the EMP's gone off, after Darrow has fallen into the city, and the Mercurians, I guess, find him, and they're trying to topple this giant obelisk, which parallels Theodora and the Widow
Ooh.
Arcos.
Didn't pick up on that.
Or
Yeah.
I guess it's not a huge obelisk; it's a big statue.
Yeah.
But I love that whole section where they're pulling on him on all four limbs, and he's like, they think they're pulling against my strength, but really they're just pulling against my armor.
Yeah.
And then he
Mm-hmm.
fucking flattens half of them, and he's like, the timing is almost comedic, he says, where he pulls half of them and the other half basically pulls him with them out of the path of the statue, and the other half gets squished under it. And that's great. But my favorite part is, like, he gets up from that, and the meat carpet.
Oh my god, that is
I weave them into my twitching meat carpet. He views this mob as the one, because he doesn't know Mustang's alive yet.
That's it.
No.
He views this mob as the mob that killed his wife. And he's just like, nope, Reaper's here.
Yep.
And he's just like,
everybody quotes that, and I forgot what part of the book it came from. And so that came up, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Salem, that like people have made the joke about it in the den, and then today I was like, oh god, okay, yep, I understand now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can I theorize for a moment that the red snipers that end up meeting up, what are the chances, because they are brothers? Oh, it's Lyria's brothers?
I believe it's actually been confirmed that it's Lyria's brothers and
I can't. Did Pierce do an interview? And he's like, oh yeah.
It's just so obvious.
Was
like, why else claim that they're brothers? Why else, like, they end up back at the end, we see them again, that the snipers are there, like, and then to have Lyria so often call out, my brothers are on Mercury, my brothers are on Mercury, that I was like,
it's a very,
hold on.
It's a very widely talked about subject. Like, especially the closer we get to Lightbringer. Like, because I'm in a Facebook group and a couple other things, but it is something that is very widely talked about. And everybody's like, there's, like, all throughout Dark Age, if you think it's something, it means something. Yeah. So if it's not her brothers, it's going to be something specific later.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's probably her brothers.
Yeah. But yeah, because I don't know, there's a great, like, it's very interesting to see the calling of the two forces and who's on what side and what's happening. Like, it's very difficult at some point. And what do they call it? The Red Rain, where they just, like, literally throw... The Reds are just throwing themselves out and, like, onto... And some of them just know it's death, and some have managed to, like, get on... One gets on the back of a horse and manages to, like, slit somebody's throat. Like, it's a very interesting...
trying to stab through a gold skull.
Yeah.
Doesn't manage because gold bone density, but... And red muscles.
Right.
But very interesting, this whole segment of the back and forth and what that looks like. And then, I don't know if we have any other comments about the actual action, but Darrow making it back to, the mound? What are they calling it?
Yeah.
That's after the cavalry.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But at the end of all this action, he gets back to the mound, and we get some, I don't know, that they've all given up hope, except for the red snipers, who Darrow has to be the one who's like, guys, like, it's not...
Yeah. Right.
And they're going to make the last stand, and it's a discussion about whether or not they should. And then we get the voice.
I love that scene. Crescent, do you have the book in front of you? Do you want to just read it? I feel like we can't even talk. Like
the actual quote.
Yeah.
yes,
The
can you just
actual
read.
quote of the rescue.
Yeah, can you just read that portion
I sure can.
if you can find it?
He can find fun.
I know he'll find it, but I mean, like, if you can find it.
This is what we pay him for.
So I pry open my thigh pack and pull out a canister. I pour Dago's Lycos soil into my hands. I would have liked to see home once more before the end. And they've heard a noise and they've gone. It takes several minutes for Darrow to get up to the top of the mound.
And they see
because he's got the fucking razor in his because he's got
that's
the razor
right. He's got it through his lung.
Yeah.
And
Dax, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back and we're gonna talk about everything, the whole cavalry charge thing, because that has like probably my top 3 favorite.
Oh, okay. Thrax has got a hole in herself.
Yeah,
everybody's got a hole.
He fucking stabbed her in her guts.
Yeah.
Screwface is missing a leg in his scalp.
Right.
So there is a gust of air behind me. Oh gods, brooding again. Some things never change, a voice says. I turn to see a vision from the past. Cassius. Hello, Goodman. Calic said you might need a hand. And that's where it ends. That's where the chapter ends.
Oh,
and then it's immediately Lysander is like wondering what the fuck is going on in the mound.
And that's the last we hear of Darrow in this. That's Darrow's last chapter.
Yes, that is Darrow's last
chapter. That is Darrow's last chapter. Is Cassius to the rescue.
Yes. Okay, so let's do the breakdown before that happens.
I don't want to, but sure.
No,
it's fine.
There's not that much that needs to be said about the cavalry charge and everything like that.
That it's very
there's some space racism on display by Lysander.
As always.
Yeah, classic Lysander.
Are we surprised?
No.
Never.
So they meet in the Via Triumphia. Thraxa says Severo was right, should have ended the line in the maw. Not wrong. Not wrong.
So many times they should have ended the line.
Hey, honestly, like Lysander should have died when his face got melted. Like,
yeah.
How do you get out from under the mech? That boot thruster, like, I mean, sure, maybe it totally sputtered and died just after his eye got melted, but like really it should have burned straight through his skull.
I don't know.
I was thinking like 10-year-old should have died, but yeah.
Also that, because remember, I am of the cask strength opinion that Lysander should have died at 10 years old.
Yes.
Yes.
Tactus should have accidentally
we would have avoided all of this.
Yep.
The rest of the story wouldn't have happened the way it's happened if he was dying.
I mean, like
we'd only be battling Atlantia right now.
He's only alive for plot.
Yeah, he is a plot device.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Darrow has his big moment. The quote that I was talking about. Give me a second here. So we see Lysander. We see who he is, and then we see Darrow. And it's I gave him a choice long ago, a chance to live in peace, but he has returned to war. To see the boy become man scours the empathy in me. 10 years too late, he must die. My snipers no longer fire. Thraxa waits for my signal on the roof. I shape my razor from its long form to the sling blade. And then this specific section is just like absolutely peak Darrow for me. The dread monster rises in the belly of me. Laughter spews from between my teeth. I would die for the truth that all men are created equal, but in the kingdom of death, amidst ramparts of bodies and wind olive screams, there is a king, and his name is not Loon, it is Reaper.
Hey!
I can't Italian hands hard enough.
Yeah.
Like,
That one's so good.
it, like, every single time I listen to it, I just get chills.
Yeah. So good.
And that shows, like, I mean, yes, he says it or he thinks it, but I would die for the truth that all men are created equal.
Yeah.
And he fully plans to.
Yeah.
Like,
he has this whole book.
Yep. Oh, so good.
It gets me every time. And then it goes right to Lysander. I have never fought low colors hand to hand. I annihilate them. It's like, yeah, you fucking dipshit.
He's just a child. He just... I don't know. I think back to the 20-year-olds I know now, just given like the work environment that I'm in, and then a lot of like what we were all like when we were 18, 19, 20. Like,
sure.
I mean,
was dipshit at 22.
We were all dumb. I don't know that we were that dumb, but like, you're now giving a 20-year-old that has not had any worldly outside experience. He's been like held on the Archie.
Yeah. Archimedes.
And Archimedes. And he's literally lived on that for 10 years. He doesn't have any like adult worldly experience. Like, yes, he was getting trained by Octavia for certain things, but like, he doesn't have, again, he has book smarts. He doesn't have street smarts.
Right.
And so for him to then have to go and lead a freaking army, he doesn't have the brain capacity for it yet. And even in the grand scheme of Golds, like, Golds live for, I don't know, at least 150 years, right? Like, with all the rejuvenation and the abilities that they have, like, that is a blip of time that he's been on this planet in comparison to how long he may live.
Yep.
Like, he does not know anything, and it's really frustrating. And I think if we go and compare it back to Darrow had lived essentially a full life by the time he was 16.
Yeah.
Granted, there were still parts where he was very naive or very young teenager, and get that, but he did have different upbringings in order for him to learn that there are other things to life than just getting your way.
Yep.
And I think that's what is so frustrating about Lysander, is that we know that there are characters out there, and I feel like a lot of the people in our fan base all have had some sort of strife. And besides, like, Lysander has had that strife in losing his family and then in the situation that he's had. But at the same time, like, you haven't experienced some of the things that all of these other people surrounding you have experienced.
Yeah, for sure. He also is, and I said this last episode, of him at 20 is pretending he is 32. But at the same time, he is actually he's been paused for 10 years. So maybe he's not quite the maturity of a 10-year-old, but he is the maturity of a 15-year-old. Like, and we see that with some of his interactions later with Kalendora and Atlantia, that, like, and, even Atlas, like, he's just still such a child. And then even when we see him with Darrow, of, the idolization and all of that, like, as much as, sure, Darrow's the enemy, he's still, like, half fawning over him. But he's that person who thinks that he has the maturity of a 5-year-old, And he's really the maturity of a 15-year-old. Never mind 20. Like, it's a very interesting.
And I think we all, and maybe that's why we're so frustrated with him, is because we've all gone through that, and now we're at this point in our life where we understand that that's not how that is.
Yeah.
Like, we all go through that point where you're 18 to 22 and you think you know everything. And you think that you can do all these things because you're finally out of the house. You're not held down by your parents anymore. And really, you're still learning how the world works. And he's just given, he's in that state of mind, but then he's given that power on top of it.
Yeah.
There's so much.
So much happening there.
Yeah.
So,
he would need his own episode to unpack.
Oh, and I'm sure he'll get it.
Not.
Yeah.
You said let's not, at the same time I said, like, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, usually we're in sync.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we'll have to do a
but it'll be us
to discuss him.
very upset about it.
I'm going to blackout.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
That's what we should do. Can that be the first one that we start drunk?
Oh my god.
Start the episode drunk.
Do, yeah.
And do like a drunk history.
An alarm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I like that. A drunk retelling of Lysander.
Salem's volunteering to join us for that one.
I guess.
That or Merlot, who's going to drunkenly fight the opposite of going, no, he's fine.
All four of us.
Oh yeah, God, let's do it.
We've totally never done 4 people.
Never. Only Hydram and Hydra.
I talked about how, Darrow would die for the truth that all men are created equal. And said that Lysander's space race is on display. So Darrow is leaving the Via Triumphia, and Lysander calls after him. He yells, "Reaper!" And then he doesn't turn, and immediately his next fucking word is slave. That's the best word that you could think of?
You couldn't call him by his first fucking name?
Yeah. Though, I mean, arguably, he did.
Yeah, but...
in this moment, Darrow is far more the Reaper than Darrow.
Oh, exactly, yes.
Sure,
I mean, that's the whole point of this end of this book.
But yeah.
Still.
Absolutely, yeah. Jesus.
I think it's scenes like these where I really do not like Lysander because I don't agree with his viewpoints.
Yeah.
It's I don't enjoy listening to him call people derogatory names. Yeah. Maybe that's the whole point of this, is that we're and upon other podcasts that Pierce has done, he's definitely mentioned of in Lysander's mind, this is the way he thinks. This is the way he's brought up. Yeah. It's interesting exploring those things. And it is interesting exploring those things, but we don't have to agree with it.
For sure.
So. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me happy that Lysander is baffled that Darrow is not unhorsed by their clash. And that also his entire left arm is shattered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Well, I think it's also Lysander. He's going to do these 2 things, and then it's like, no, you can't.
I love that.
You can't call what.
I will absolutely give him this. He's spent a long time with horses. And talks about Praetorians are equestrians first, and he learned how to ride a horse when he was very young. Darrow is fucking terrified of horses.
Yes.
And so this is a very martial man riding a horse for I don't know, the 10th time total.
Yeah.
Maybe. I can say, or I can admit that sure, maybe Lysander is able to pick, like, he knows this kind of thing will happen, could happen.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I mean, with how much, like you were saying, like how much Lysander has studied Darrow. Like, there's so many instances in the, like, earlier part of the book, like, especially, I think, right when he's about to get his face burned off, he is pretty much like, oh, Darrow's gonna do this, and he's gonna do this, because these are the things that he does in battle. But then he's like, oh, I should know better, because he doesn't do the same thing twice. And it's like...
Yeah, nobody falls like the Reaper, aerial acrobatics, blah, blah, blah.
Whatever. Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, with how much he's studied him, probably not even just his fighting videos, just his lore and everything about him and his upbringing and whatnot, I'm sure he's probably like, this man does not like horses.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's probably some video footage somewhere of him riding that pony.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Being terrified of that little pony.
Yeah.
Are we gonna talk about Auntie?
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like we just need to
Anti-mortem.
Gross.
Okay, so we've gotten to the end of the battle now. Can I now talk about?
Yeah, we can move on from the battle. I said my things.
Okay. So then, so Darrow is rescued by Cassius, and we get Lysander's. I find it really interesting, Lysander's view of it. He thinks like, okay, go in. I've trapped him in there. It's fine. And then we get to see that, no, Cass, what is he called? The chapter is called The Ghost. And
it's just called Ghost, yeah.
And it's just raising up, and I know that ship. I know that person. And he gets this like, oh shit, like, Diomedes has lied, and Cassius is back from the dead.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting. My true heart is laid bare, awash with exultation, clouded with confusion, pure with purpose. The war goes on. So, like, he's happy that Cassius is alive. Right? Confused because Cassius has switched sides. And, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cassius never switched sides, though. Cassius was always on the side of the Rising.
Okay, that's my thing. Okay, that's my thing, is, like, Cassius is Darrow's best friend. Like...
No. Darrow is Cassius.
Okay, excuse me. But that proves my point even more.
We are the same person at this point. I know.
That proves my point even more. Cassius is there for Darrow. And when did that ever change in 10 years? Like...
Oh, yeah.
Like, how did Lysander... In the 10 years he spent with Cassius, how did Cassius not talk about his allegiance to Darrow? Like,
oh, for sure. Like, that's the reason that Lysander was just allowed to go with Cassius, is because Darrow went, okay, I trust you. That's cool. It's fine.
Yep.
And like, it still blows Lysander's mind of just being like, oh, he's with Darrow, my sworn enemy. And it's like,
yeah.
You should be on Darrow's side.
Yeah.
Also, again, like, what did Cassius teach Lysander in the 10 years they were together in the first place? For him to not side with, like, all of that. Like, did he literally just have him as a roommate?
Apparently.
And be like, Pytha, take care of him?
Like, they just, like, nodded, passing in the hallway.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden have weird, like, surface-level banter. Yeah.
Yeah. And Cassius getting drunk over. Maybe that's it, is Lysander just remembers Cassius being drunk and upset about Mustang, that he's like, there's no way he's gonna support Mustang's husband. And it's like, no, he still very much does.
As Lysander has his own crush on Mustang.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For the past 10 years.
Yes. Oh, that child. That child has mommy issues.
Oh, God. All right. Well, are we going to lean into that? Are we going to
Yeah.
get there?
Uh-huh.
All right. I'm going to
How about
just
her?
take a swig. It is very good sipping rum, for the record. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to get into another brown liquor.
We
Just for
shouldn't be this much longer.
No, I hope not.
Huh? No. Just in general.
Oh.
I've been watching tons of how to drink on YouTube.
Oh, I thought you meant this episode. I was like,
Oh.
No, I have a Summersby waiting too.
oh, there you go.
Anyways,
No, I'm sad.
So we find out that Lysander proposes to Atlantia for political reasons.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
Yes,
she was probably going to kill
purely
him
political.
anyway.
Purely
But also,
We could hope.
Well, okay, so then we come out of this, we come out of all of that with Darrow and the cavalry and whatnot, to find Calendora has been poisoned.
yes.
And
Yep.
she's dying. Galastries pretty much asks Lysander, oh, do you love her? And Lysander can't give him an answer. And he's just like, well, if you love her, I can cure her. And he's like, okay. And then goes and then proposes to Atlantia for purely political reasons.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to step on toes at this point in time. Because Atlantia wants to be sovereign.
Yeah.
And I just don't even think this child knows what love is.
No, he has no
absolutely
idea.
he doesn't. Not a fucking clue.
Like,
I love Glorastes
Has
in that section.
Okay, go on.
Like, do you love her? I look at him. I left her on the ground to chase Darrow. What a hideous thing to do. I never had the chance, but I believe I would. Then I will find a cure. And Lysander says, you're not a medicus. He's, no, but I am a genius. Fuck.
these
Love
people.
You asshole.
But okay, so to go back to the he doesn't know what love is. Serafina is the only person we are aware of that is age appropriate. That he has felt feelings and the whole time kind of fought them because she rejected him, basically.
Yeah.
And he pulled the like, no, I don't like you because you don't like me.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's
Dora. How old is she?
40s.
Like mid to late 30s. Yeah.
Because then Atlantia is almost
one of
50,
Atlantia's
right?
best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
How old is Atlantia?
It's not specifically said, but it's.
Is she the same age as Calendora?
Like in her probably early 40s.
Okay.
Like they are Lysander's moms.
Oh yeah.
Best friends.
Yeah.
And then also like so even then, okay, let's go a bit younger. That when he was in his 8 to 10, he's in love with Mustang. Who would have been 18 to 20.
Hey, can we blame him?
No.
I'm just saying, he does not know.
We all have a crush on Mustang. It's fine.
It's fine.
True.
But for him, it gets back to that he thinks he's the 20-year-old with the mindset of a 35-year-old. And it's like, you're not. Learn to date age appropriately. And Serafina's the only one who we see that he's kind of got. But then the whole time he's like insulting her and like, no. Pretty much because she doesn't want him.
Yeah.
Like,
classic.
Well, yeah. Well, and even in the beginning of Iron Gold, Cassius is making fun of him because he hasn't slept with anybody.
he's a virgin who can't drive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god, does that mean he loses his Oh my god, he loses his virginity to Atlantia.
Yes, because Atlantia. Yes. Because Atlantia and him bed each other. That's what you do.
This is
You bed your aunt.
This is our third sex scene of the trilogy, and the only one we actually get any
Me too.
real
I had to write
action.
this one.
This is the one where we get the she takes me in her mouth. Like, I did not. I did not need this. This one could have faded to obsidian. We did not need this.
God, this is disgusting. That's so gross.
Correct.
Yep. I don't think we have much to say
That's
about it. But basically also like, and the whole time, like, I mean, it is like kind of cute that it's like that. Not cute. That scene's not cute.
I was gonna say,
in the morning,
what?
it's like, oh, we wake up to it. I don't know. I'm always that person who like likes in the movies that it's like, oh,
when they wake
like
up.
that, that like wake up scene, and then it's like, oh yeah, and it kind of hints at it like, yeah, we again had sex in the morning. That it's like, that seems less like, I don't know. Though we don't see that, so maybe it's just as graphic, but he seems more like, yeah, it's fine, it's cool. But like that first scene, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, and I think, and I don't know if it was maybe just the way that I was listening to it, but it almost seemed like he was like he goes into it unsure.
Yes.
And I think that was probably another reason why it felt gross, is because he goes into it unsure, and then he's like,
she's
oh, no.
the one who's like, get on your back. Like, she is
Yeah.
dictating that. I was like, you're almost reading it as like, where is the full consent in this?
Well,
Like,
also
which is very gold.
Yes. Well, and that also ties back to how she was sleeping with Ajax. And how gross that is, too, because that is also her nephew.
Which Lysander calls her on. Lysander calls it on.
He does.
Like, I hear there's an
asks,
opening or something.
Yeah, well, he pretty much is just like, well, what is Ajax gonna think? She's like, oh no, there's an opening.
Ajax is a puppy.
Yeah, or so stupid stuff
yes, but
like
he's a
that.
puppy you've been fucking for 6 years.
And I don't even want to go into that, because aren't Ajax and Lysander similar in age?
Yes.
Yes.
Same age.
And
again,
also,
Ajax
and Atalantia are even closer in blood
Yes.
They are actual like, as I said.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I said last episode, those children would not survive.
Yes, that's like what I was gonna kind of say. That is actual. If Lysander and Atalantia had kids. Yeah, because that's like, it's so gross. Because also, if you think about how they've been doing that for 6 years, let's even just say that Ajax is 22 compared to Lysander's 20. He was 16. And she was 35.
Yep.
No.
She needed a toy. Yeah.
Gross.
So gross. We're getting Dear John Mayer vibes here.
Atlas actually says she used to groom the both of you.
Yeah. And she finally got Lysander, which is the one she wanted, because she settled for Ajax, because Aja went after Lysander to be more of her son than Ajax.
Yeah.
Again, Lysander has mommy issues, and he doesn't know what love is. And it's very, very sad that it has to come out this way.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Yeah, and then we get Lysander going out to the desert to visit Kalandora, and immediately
Regrets
learns
everything.
His regrets are strong. Immediately learns that Atalantia had a hand in killing his mother and father.
Yep.
It's like, yes, you have, much like Darrow in Golden Sun, you have just made a deal with the devil.
Yep.
Well, and I will say there's twofold to that, of like, yes, so you are engaged to your parents' killer, who like, but the other part that I find is is it radicals? Is that what they're called?
Reformers.
Reformers. So then like, everything you are fighting for right now is the opposite to what your parents would have wanted. And you
Yeah.
were made into this puppet by Octavia using, this is when we actually learn about what the pandemonium chair does, exactly what laid out, but everything you're doing is because Octavia wanted it this way and not what your parents wanted.
Yeah. Your parents
Like,
wanted
Yep.
literally the opposite, and that is why they died.
yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's so tragic, and I think that, and I've hoped that Lysander, especially during this read, I really hoped, knowing that at the end, that Lysander would change his ways, or at least find a way to fight against Atalantia. Like, you don't have to keep going down this path because that is what everybody has groomed you to be.
Yeah.
You can choose your own path. And I think that's one of those things, is that he keeps saying, oh, grandmother would want this, or grandmother taught me this. And I think he needs to get that out of his head, that his parents were better people than Octavia, and that they should have had more of a say in his childhood. And that goes back to how, so Octavia had Calendora and Atlantia plant the bombs in their ship, and which then led to their death. And I think the saddest part in Lysander's story, for me at least, was hearing how, when he was a child, after that happened, he was so distraught because he loved his mother so much that he would not stop crying. And Octavia's response to that was, okay, let's put him in the pandemonium chair and he'll forget everything about his mother, so he will stop crying.
Yep. And to
Like,
literally erase her from history.
yeah.
Like, you can't find pictures of her on the net.
No.
Like, the only time that Lysander has any recollection of her is when he and Gaia play the piano together.
Yeah. Which I felt like that all came very full circle and gave me hope that maybe Lysander, I mean, I don't know if there's possibility of him joining Darrow's side, but I would hope that he would at least join what we as readers consider the good side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that
and then he
leads
goes
us
to the desert, and
I was gonna say that we get the final episode.
Fucking lunch with the Minotaur.
Yep.
Our final chapter of the book, not this episode,
Yeah.
but the book is with Apollonius is back.
Yep.
That's really all there is to that.
No, there really wasn't a lot.
Apollonius, all he wants is
The mind's eye.
his sword and his mind. He doesn't want allegiance, he doesn't want fealty, or he doesn't want him to bow. He just wants him to be his partner.
Yeah.
And Apollonius wants the mind's eye.
Yeah.
And then all the tyrants of the past point to Mars. Because wow, you pixie pomp.
Yep.
I hate him, but I have hope for him.
Do you? So what side of the Merlot versus Slink are you on? Do you think there is a redemption arc for Lysander?
I don't know. So that's hard. Okay, so I have hopes, personally. I have hopes that we will get a redemption arc from Lysander.
Okay.
Like I was saying, like, he realized, like, he learned that his parents were reformers and that Octavia wiped his memory of his mother. And this whole time he's been trying so hard to get a understanding of who his mother actually was. And I don't think I can put into words how I would imagine his arc to go if he had a redemption arc. But I don't know that his character is really set up to do that. Like, given that his character is, at this point, kind of the villain, or he is the villain. And we get to see behind the curtain on that. So it's a matter of, in my mind, if he can overcome the idea that there doesn't need to be particular colors doing particular jobs in the society, because that's definitely what he was pointing towards at the end of the book. If he can get past that and just see people as people, then yeah, I would like to see a redemption arc for him. But I don't know that he would ever not see people that way, given how jaded he is.
Right. Okay.
Very jaded for a early 20s.
Yeah.
All right.
Space racist.
That's it for
can we talk about
Darren
our
Lysander.
sweet, wholesome section?
Yeah, we'll leave off on a good note.
Slightly sad, and then more wholesome.
The part that I bawled during, but at least it's calmer. I don't know if we're gonna call it. I guess it's wholesome, but calmer.
Yeah.
So we then get Lyria.
Yeah, Lyria.
Oh yeah.
Where did there it is.
We know. I think hers pretty much kicks off with the funeral.
It literally kicks off with Ulysses is buried on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which that's also very sweet too, because it's I think the second to last chapter, but Victor does say that she wanted to give Ulysses a sun death, but because Severo's not there, she wanted a place for him to visit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, most golds don't do burial in the way we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got them. So 5 people attend the funeral, and it is obviously Victra, Electra, Pax, and then Lyria and Volga. And it is a very interesting custom that we get to see through Electra's eyes. It's not Victra does it, but it's Electra narrating of this debt that Victra owes because Ulysses died pretty much because of her is the thing. So you're going to swim out until the sun sets, and then you're going to look back and whether or not the fire is there. And this, I don't know, to me it was, I had totally forgotten this sequence. The line about some people don't look back.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you go and you have that grief and you think, depending on who it is or your situation, that you have caused a death, especially in your family, that I get it that some people would just, it's their own way of honorably drowning themselves and then also being scared. There's no redemption, and you know that the family may not have lit the bonfire. We, at least in this section, obviously know, like, Electra lights the bonfire before telling us of, like, if the bonfire's not there, then your family doesn't want you back, basically. Like, this is a very hard section to read just because there's so many, you're mourning Ulysses, I think, for the first time. I think up into this, there's too many beats before it.
Yeah, but I think much like Victra, there hasn't been any time.
Yeah.
There hasn't been time to mourn him.
Finally.
Yeah, we talked in the last episode of how, like, when Electra is, well, Victra and Electra and Pax are reunited, like, that's the part I cried this time round. Because you're actually almost happy crying of, it's a joyful that she's got at least one child, plus Pax, who's technically a second child to her.
Right.
She gets them back, so it's almost a happy cry that, like, you at least have, and this is when you get the mournful tears. But it's just a very well written and very cool tradition that they're doing here. And I think, again, I forget all the time that Electra is 9. Maybe she's 10 at this point, but she's the one who's conducting the whole thing. And I like her, like, I am very much half my mother and half my father, but us Julie, I have a tradition. Yeah.
It's a very, very somber scene.
Which is made even better. Okay, go on. And then I think my favorite part is Electra correcting Pax. But yeah, go
on. That's a bit after. And then so after Electra says some never turn to look back, it talks about how Volga is weeping soundlessly beside me for Ulysses. In a way, she buries 2 today. She still has not forgiven Pax for asking Ephraim to go back to Sephi. She waited at landing pads for 12 hours before pulling some freelancer shit and stealing a ship to go find Ephraim.
Yep.
We find out later that, a little bit later, that she found Ephraim in several pieces.
And when she tried to pick him up,
he fell apart.
Yeah.
But she did bring him back.
They have his body.
Yep. Because Volga wants to bury him in South Pacifica.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's from.
So, they have. Yeah. They brought him back. So, for sure, Volga is going through all the motions. And Lyria a little bit. That she talks in that portion of what Ephraim meant to her in a bit, like, in a way. And the kids. Like, the kids spent so much time with Ephraim. We don't see that mentioned, but that's a father figure for a few months. Yeah.
Well, and especially for Volga, like, I think Lyria does talk about how Volga really did see, it wasn't a friendship, it was a father-daughter type of relationship. And it was it was really hard for Volga.
Yeah. Even in one of the, like, in the reunion chapter, the Son of the Rising, chapter 74, she even says, like, not all girls are lucky enough to have a father, to Ephraim. Like,
heartbreaking.
Very heartbreaking. Yep. But and then Victor swims back. She makes it back, and she just sits with them near the fire. Catch a 6-hour swim. It took 6 hours.
Jesus.
Yep.
But my favorite part is that then Victra once again says to Pax and Electra, like, the moment I saw you guys, I swore to protect you. And then says that to Volga and Lyria, who in return basically say, like, yeah, us to you. And I really like the just, again, those comedic parts that are just interlinked. Like, it's such a hard thing to read. And then you get that Pax is like, actually, you're supposed to say this. And Victor or Electra just hitting him. Being like, not now.
Like, just stop.
Just
shut
out the door with decorum. Shut up, Pax. Like, I just like that it's just like, well, really, you're supposed to say this? And of course, Pax is that child who knows the etiquette. And I'm sure Electra knows the etiquette, but is like,
oh, yeah.
Not the time, not the place.
Not the time.
These two don't, so.
Yeah, so.
Calm yourself.
Fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get the Soul Guard and the Sons of Ares, the spiked helm showing up with Kieran.
And Kieran is the
Arch Governor of Mars.
Arch Governor of Mars now. Yes.
Which we get,
Yeah.
before we get anything with him and Victra, we get him and Pax and Electra, in which I really like that he tries to lift them and they're the same size as him.
Yeah.
Like, but it's just that reminder of, like, this is also
Or-
Pax's uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone
Yeah,
who
and,
is,
like-
at this point, doesn't know, they think Darrow's dead. They probably assume Rona's dead.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. I really like how Lyria calls out, you wouldn't even think he was the same species as his brother.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. This section, like, frequently almost brings me to tears. Where he's, like, Kieran is beseeching Volga to go to Fa,
Right.
basically,
Yes.
to save these people.
Yeah. And even Lyria and Victor are both like, you don't have to do it.
Well, Victor
Yeah,
says
like-
we won't. I won't
Yeah.
send her. Victor is
Yeah.
very adamant of, like, no,
Yeah.
we don't do that. Which is
Yeah.
very different from what we see Victor at the end of Iron Gold being like, oh,
Right.
fuck, like, I will use you in whatever capacity. We now have Victor being like, no, that's
Yep.
not what we're doing
They're
here.
they're part of my pack now, so no.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Volga, my brother is gone. We need heroes.
Right. What all I don't remember what all I like the delivery of Kieran talking to Victra and then us being able as like the readers being able to overhear their conversation a little bit. I don't remember what all they said or what he told Victor because Lyria the whole time is like, oh, Victor didn't know. Oh, Victor didn't know that. He just literally said that and now we all know.
There's the Darrow being dead is the first that
I think that's
and then the Volsung part with Volga.
Mm-hmm.
This is when we learn that portion.
Right.
But for sure, but that's another comedic part of one of them says to Pax, like, what are they saying? And he's like, my hearing's not that good.
Right.
Like,
I think Electra's like, I know you read lips. And he's like, I can't, they're like that far away. I can't.
Yeah, like, what do you want from me? Yeah.
Skipper. This
yeah,
also,
what is this?
I just, okay, it's cream soda.
Or that's fun.
Orange cream soda.
Orange cream soda? What is orange cream soda versus?
It's orange soda.
Whimsical.
Like a creamsicle.
Oh, like okay, yeah, okay.
But it has Orca beverage on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I just read that. I didn't know it was on there.
I like it.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now times 2. Pax has been told that his parents are dead.
And then alive, because he knows now his mom's
Yeah.
Poor Pax. Like,
Emotional
I feel like at
whiplash
this point...
for him.
At least Pax at this point's got his... No, but at least at this point, like, he's got at least... He knows his mom's alive, and he's got his aunt, or sub-an-aunt, and his actual uncle standing there of, like...
Yeah.
Someone's gonna... Like, I'm sure he's just exhausted emotionally,
Oh, yeah.
and, like, you just hit a point where you're just like, you know what? Like, fuck it. Like, he's probably looking and going... One of these adults is going to take care of me. I don't know what's happening. Like,
Yeah.
Fuck, I'll take this ship and I'll take care of myself at this point.
Yeah, seriously. Just peace out.
Yeah, and then so after the conversation with Kieran, we get just a little conversation between Pax and Lyria, where Pax knows a little something about what's inside Lyria's head.
Yeah.
And there is very, very little here.
Yeah.
But
it's pretty much like a passing.
He knows,
of just...
yeah.
Because he's like,
basically here and there.
Yeah, because
he tests her, like, kind of.
Yeah,
he
well, that
knows...
and he
he knows what the parasite said to her.
Yes,
Oh, my
because
mountain
he says
hyacinth,
it.
what shepherds trod upon you with clumsy rustic foot. Now you are a broken seal, a scarlet stain upon the earth, figmentum es.
And she's just like, wait, how do you know? And he's like, I read all the documents. I have access to everything.
Yeah, I read everything and cross-reference latently.
Yeah.
So, does that mean like his brain is just like constantly processing things
Insane.
without his knowledge?
Oh,
It
probably.
must. Like, as you're sleeping.
Unbelievable. Yes. So my thought is,
Mm-hmm.
do you remember when Lysander is having his flashback about the stairs
Yes.
and Octavia says, your mind must digest information and process it latently?
Yeah. Ooh.
Hmm? Okay, we've talked about this.
I feel like this is just another argument for Pax having the mind's eye.
Yes.
Or
Okay.
at least some variation of the mind's eye.
Did you guys listen? I think it was the last Hail Reaper, where they interviewed Pierce. Did you both?
No,
watch
I
it?
haven't. I haven't done
Not
it.
yet.
I haven't listened to it
Okay,
yet.
you should watch it because it kind of answers that question. In regards, so pretty much Pierce says like the mind's eye, like, okay. So in the den we talked about this in regards of like, okay, does Pax have the mind's eye? Because when he's fighting against the obsidian, when they're teaching him how to fight like an obsidian, he closes his eyes and he fights.
Yeah.
So that was a big point where we all started talking about how Pax might have the mind's eye. In this interview with Hail Reaper, Pierce pretty much says that the mind's eye is probably not exclusive to the Loon family. And it is more of a means of meditation. So
Okay.
it's more of like, so it's not a superpower. Lysander thinks he has a superpower. It's not.
Yeah.
And it's more of, from my understanding of the little tidbit that they were talking about, is you have this reference. So I could probably literally, because I know this room, I could close my eyes and feel around and know exactly where everything is because I have a recollection of that. And that is essentially what the mind's eye is doing, because Lysander, like when he was using the mind's eye in that fight in the abandoned craft, he knew where everybody was at the last point. So he was able to fight and do that. So it's kind of that in regards. And exactly in that scene with Octavia, she pretty much is like, okay, close your eyes and run down the stairs. And he slips because he didn't know that the birdseed was there, because he didn't look prior to closing his eyes to see that the birdseed was there.
Right.
So yes, he didn't look and see the birdseed was there.
Mhm.
But also he didn't notice the birdseed underfoot.
Right.
He
So
didn't
he's just
notice,
not paying attention.
He didn't notice that the birds weren't in the trees.
Yeah.
So he's like, obviously he's still in lessons of the mind's eye at that point.
And it was, yeah. And I think it's just a lot of spatial awareness.
Yeah.
Like almost exclusively, I think.
Yeah. And it's all, I mean, and I think that goes along with proprioception. Like that's just the understanding. It's like the sixth sense. Really, people have more than five senses, but whatever. That's psychology. But they, like, you, again, it's the same kind of feeling that when you're driving down the road and you can feel somebody looking at you. You're stuck in traffic and you look over and the person in the car next to you is looking at you. It's the same idea as that. So, but yeah, no, I totally think, and I think that just goes to show maturity, like brain maturity or mind maturity, where Pax has probably learned this on his own. Like, he's a super smart kid. Like, I am sure that he's just like, oh, this comes easy to me. Like, I could never explain it without knowing all the articles about it, but like, it's a thing I do.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and I think Badger was talking about it in one of the chats, and I asked her about it, I think after I watched that. And she was like, oh yeah, like I feel like that's something that we all do. So it's like, oh, do I have a superpower, or is that just something?
She called us out on it last episode of like, do you guys not try and like meditate? And both of us are like, no. But that is 100%. She said it of like, yeah, that she for years now has tried to like meditate and become at that point that you're so aware. Of things.
Yeah.
Other than we unfortunately are not, apparently. Yeah. Yeah, super cool. All right.
Let's talk Mustang.
The last little bit.
Possibly the most uplifting part.
Most uplifting,
but like
connecting.
The least negative.
Least negative.
Yeah.
I would call it uplifting. There is hope in this.
Yeah, there absolutely is hope here.
Some answering questions that this is when we learn of like, oh my god. I mean, not uplifting, but also uplifting of Kavix is broken because it's like he was already injured from Volga. Mm-hmm. Then he had the Thraxa being endangered, and then Daxo taken away from him, and he's just there. But he being the one who made the connection with Cassius is like, that, yeah. Portion of, and where's Liam? Liam's on the, oh my god, the ship. Renault?
Yeah.
No.
Asia. Oh, the Reynard.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's so much to that, and him calling her daughter, like it's just such a sweet moment.
Yeah, that kind of broke my heart because it was. I know that they had that moment before the Day of Red Doves of like, oh, you deserve this, like what's about to be voted on and everything, and you've done such a great job. But for him to finally be like, yeah, you are my daughter, like there's no roundabout way about it, is just,
it's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yes, we get that. We get kind of those connecting pieces of where everybody is, but we do know that Mercury's fallen, Earth has fallen at this point. Mars is the last stand, and we must protect Mars.
Yeah.
But it does kind of situate us of where everybody is.
Yeah.
This is the chapter I needed before Lightbringer. Me starting Lightbringer being like, what planet are you on? Where are you?
Yeah.
What's happening here? I forgot about this villain. Why do they all start with the letter A? I don't know who this is.
Yeah, why is everybody letter A? Can we not?
Just on the letter A, real fast on the letter A. We forgot one last week, and now we tried to name all the villains with the letter A, and I'd forgotten one, and then halfway through this week, I was like, it's a fucking another A, and then they're all A. Anyway, go on.
Yeah.
They're all starting with the letter A.
Yeah, I know.
Apollonius! We forgot Apollonius! We forgot Apollonius when naming them.
Yeah. Alright, yeah.
And then today I was like, that's a fucking another A. Like,
this is why I had to make a chart of all the alliances.
Oh, fuck, man. Share it, please. I'm so confused.
Over there.
So we get a little, it's a very short payoff foreshadowing or hint, I guess. That Mustang knows that Victra is going to be pissed at her.
Oh, yeah.
So, Victra found my son. I lost her husband. No amount of calculus will fix that arithmetic. Mm-hmm. And then Holiday says, Victra still didn't sail on Luna. She respected your orders. And the whole Julii fleet is around Mars. And the dockyard it's in full burn. And then we get the Iron Circle
Yes. Which
with Mustang flying the ship.
And-
Taking a shuttle off of the main ship and flying a circle around Mars.
Yes. Which is something that her father would do, and she didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Because that had a different meaning than what she wanted to convey upon taking Mars.
but while she's doing it, we get Cavex. Look out the window. No, look out the window. No, and then Holiday looking at they're like fucking fighting, and then she has to go to the other port.
Yeah,
and it is that they have it's like a signal but it ended up.
It's a sling blade.
It's a sling blade.
No, but what is it originally?
Yeah,
but originally it like goes out and then it becomes the sling blade. But it talks. I forget what it actually is.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's. I thought it was a burning sling blade.
Yeah, but what is it?
Because I thought it was a call back to in Red Rising
in the
Mustang
Institute.
does
Yeah. But she says it's something. It's creating the sling blade.
Yeah, frowning, I slide open my viewport shade and see a line of fire racing across the dark landscape east of Nike, another flaring west of Phoenicia, and yet another southeast of Olympia itself. To be so visible at this height, the lines must nearly be 100 kilometers long. As I watch, the lines of fire curve into the shape of a sling blade. Mars endures.
It's just lines of fire.
Flying.
I was thinking it was something else, but it's just lines of fire. Okay.
How fucking big are these sling blades?
Right?
Like, they have to be hundreds of kilometers long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yep. Which is just a callback to her lighting the sling blade into the.
Yeah. Well, and Several will find me. Right, that's her Dara's whole thing at the institute is Several will find me. Yeah.
Yep.
And not a single shot is laid on her.
Yeah. Yep. So then
everybody at Mars is welcoming.
Lands and has to go, and Victra's immediately fighting. Like,
oh my god, she's ready.
She's training. And then
I don't blame her.
Gets a hit to the head and is like, again. Right? Yeah. Like, keep going.
Yep.
Yep. And then my favorite, maybe scene in definitely this book, maybe the series, is Victra laying into Mustang of like, how dare you? Why are you here? You've lost. And then Mustang removes her clothing and shows like, I now have more. Because this is the thing is, especially in Golden Sun Morning Star, we learn and we get the call back when Victra's giving birth of just how many scars Victra has, and she wears them with pride. And now we learn that Mustang has more scars than Victra does. And that Victra, upon seeing that, it's that like, oh, okay, you tried.
Yeah.
You didn't.
And I think she literally says that.
Yeah, it's not like you just left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's crazy to even think too. Like, and I think also, again, from us being readers, it's almost a little frustrating when you're reading that scene and you're just like, but Victra, like, she literally got stabbed by a mob. Like, but again, that wasn't necessarily publicly broadcast. Like, we didn't see what happened to her after that.
Well, and so, we don't see also that she wanted to go back in, and it was Cavex was the one who was like, you're done, you're out, we're taking you out. But Mustang wanted to go back for Severo.
Yeah, and she literally battled with it up until she saw Victra again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mustang says, I tried, I whisper, truly. And then her eyes search each one of the scars. I now have more than she does. Her heavy hand reaches to clutch my shoulder, and then the bigger woman pulls our foreheads together. If we cannot engineer salvation for our men, then vengeance will suffice, Victra says.
I just love that.
It's so good.
So good.
Damn it,
I'm also
Pierce.
just, is it really weird just because it said the bigger woman that it's like, Salem, do we need to recreate that moment? Because I feel like that is our height difference.
It is.
It is! We can recreate it. You can be Mustang, I'll be Victra.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do
You
it
gotta
at
bring the
HowlerCon.
Victor dress to HowlerCon, though.
That Victra dress is still filled with sand and still not
Not my
washed.
problem.
I don't know. Target has some dresses right now.
Okay. Take me to Target.
You guys have Target?
Yeah.
We don't.
I should look up how many Targets there are in Tulsa.
No,
Not
we're
right now,
going.
but later.
Well,
I have a really
Probably.
good Victra dress, but it's that I did not wear in the ocean, but it's black. And I feel like in my mind Victra nowadays wears green.
Victra has worn green at every point that she could.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to recreate that that moment. But yeah, it's just I love that. And that's where I wish, it's funny, I think it was when Hydro read Dark Age for the first time, and we all in the den, she was kind of the first one who read it for the first time, that in the den we all watched read it.
Yeah, we were all invested in it, yeah.
And so
Mhm.
I went back and I had forgotten like the entire book, but I was like, I'm gonna read the last part, and then I realized the last chapter is actually Lysander, so it was this chapter is the one that I went, I'm not reading the Lysander chapter last. I am reading this chapter so that when she ends it, I could feel like I ended it with her. And it's just such a good, yeah, it is the hope that these two women are just, they're going to go get their boys back. They're going to correct all the errors in the solar system. They've got this.
Yeah.
And I think this is also, you know, as much as they might think Darrow is gone, we also, there's a lot of faith put into Cassius, of we have sent Cassius after him.
Yeah.
And so there is that little bit more, us as readers know Darrow is still alive, but for them as wives and then best friend know that Darrow is still alive. We don't know what's happened to Severo, but Darrow is still out there, and hopefully with Cassius. So good. So good.
Well, holy shit. We made it through Dark Age.
We made it through Dark Age. We made it through the published books. Oh
I hope we weren't too traumatized.
No.
I know we have had a bunch of amazing discussions.
Yeah.
Either on this podcast or even in all the read-along channels. We still have 5 more questions for question of the day for Dark Age, so they're not quite there yet. They just got through Lysander killing Alex, so we'll see how the rest of these questions go. Yeah, I don't know, how was your guys' reread compared to what? No, this whole thing. How was your reread?
Which one?
He's done. No, he's done during this. He's read Dark Age like 3 times.
I've read through like 2 or 3 times.
Okay, I will answer the question then.
Here.
Yeah, Skipper.
I will answer it because this was for Iron Gold and Dark Age. All of them I hadn't done in 4 years. So I'm very thankful for the Den of pushing me to actually reread. I don't know if, I think I would have just gone into Lightbringer. Okay, technically how I did.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I did anyway. But
you at least got the first trilogy down.
I don't know if I would have. I think I would have reread Dark Age and went, this will be fine. So I'm very thankful in that capacity, but it has been a fun, especially Iron Gold and Dark Age, of reading them through in a more, not just trying to get through them. Dark Age, my first time, it was just literally a how fast, like, listening to it. I've never physically read these books, like Dark Age. I've read the rest of them, but I've listened the rest of the time. And Dark Age especially was like, how fast can I do this so that I can talk to Pierce at the signing? Which you get, like, if people have not done signings, you get approximately 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know
Maybe a little
why.
longer.
Yeah. And he's very good about, he won't spoil. Like, you can go into the signings having not read Lightbringer. He assumes you have read Dark Age, probably, as we're in this one. But anyway, my reread was like, how fast can I get through Dark Age? And not necessarily definitely not talking about it in any capacity. I don't know if there's anyone I finished and was like, oh, it's done, rather than this is the first time I could dissect it, which I really greatly appreciate. Yeah. Yeah.
I've had friends and stuff around to read it with. Like I read it with Mole. And I've definitely got a lot of friends to read it, and so I see their reactions. But I haven't had like a community where we could actually talk about it, so it's been really, really cool to see everybody's reactions. Especially there were a handful of people that had not read Iron Gold and Dark Age.
Yeah.
And so being able to see a lot of their reactions on some of these scenes. And I think we did a pretty good job. And like we've talked about before, there's a lot of fear for Dark Age. But I think once we remember that this Dark Age is a book to tear down our characters before they can be rebuilt is a really good reminder.
Yeah.
Because we've also had 4 years between then and now for, I mean, I don't want to call it fear mongering, but for the fear to escalate and for people to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the worry for the characters.
Yeah.
Like, it does not lessen with longer between books.
Right.
It gives people more ability to kind of be like, oh, like what the fuck is going to happen?
Yeah.
Like,
and for people to stew about it.
Exactly. Yeah, it gives them longer to dream up more esoteric problems.
Yeah.
For sure. And to remember the terrible things that happen in Dark Age versus the hilarious one-liners. Like, I don't remember... Well, we've talked about that. I used to skip, when I was reading Iron Gold, when I did my reread, I skipped Ephraim chapters because I just didn't care, rather than this time it's like, no, he's hilarious. Like, he is the comedic relief. Like, he's great, and I think a lot of people don't. They just go, oh, wow, there's the trauma, and especially him being the one that dies. When really, he's the comedic part. Him and Elektra, I would say, are the two comedic parts in all of this.
Yeah.
And you totally forget that they are there for a reason, to give that little bit of levity.
What is, and it may change with every reread you do, Crescent, but what out of, let's just say Dark Age, what is your favorite scene?
Ooh.
Because mine, like I said this last time, I still really like the mop scene.
Yep.
Because again, it's the comedic relief. Like, if you can make me laugh, if you can make me cry, you've got me sold. But I also really enjoyed the fig scenes. Like, I didn't think that I would. Like, I don't even really remember Fig the first time I read it. And then I read it this time, I was like, Fig's a badass. Like, she's actually kind of a cool character. And so it makes me excited to see where that goes with Lyria.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think mine, like, I'm a big Darrow fan. I think mine is a tie between the scene with, I basically at the end, Darrow being, I am the king of death. And the scene earlier in the book with Lysander meeting Darrow in battle. And Darrow's just like absolutely fucking shit stomping it. Like those two scenes are I think two of my, like, probably, if not the top two, they're two of the top five for sure.
Yeah.
But I would, I can't think of one right now that tops either of those.
Totally. Well, I mean, even with the excitement that you had with that scene about Darrow's king, so I can totally tell.
Yeah.
Okay, Skipper. What about you?
I said mine. So mine was always the dragon one, which I think dragons at all times. Like, you put me in, and it's really hard for me to recommend like certain books that I'm like, this one has a surprise dragon scene, because you can't say that. You're like, just read this without. And that was this one. Like, I have a few books that in the back I'm like, this one has a surprise dragon, but you can't say that to people. This Dark Age has the surprise dragon. Like, we get it, and that's just speaks directly to me. But I think I said in this one of that reunion, Victra and Mustang, of I just really like the connection between characters. I think we also get it, I would say, Darrow and Screwface in the climbing the obelisk. They're just fucking around. Like, I just like those.
You can't trust old Screw.
Yeah. Like, I just like those moments of heart to heart. Just let's put our emotions on our sleeves and fully trust the person we're with, that they will get you. And that's, those two scenes that I just mentioned are very different. Of the Screwface and Darrow, it's this, I mean, Darrow's mad at Screwface at the beginning of, why would you bring me out here? And then they're just fucking around in the hot water that, like, might be causing radiation poisoning. Who knows?
In a hot tub.
Like,
they're already poisoned. It's fine.
But they're just having a good time and remembering back to the days of the Institute, and then that end scene with Mustang and Victor, who don't normally see eye to eye. Like, we don't usually get scenes with the two of them. You kind of get that, like, yeah, our husbands are best friends, so we'll put up with each other. And in that moment, it's like, no, we're in this together. Like, I've got you. I'm supporting you in more than just a you're my sovereign manner. So I really, really enjoy that humanity in those scenes.
So I have one thing to say about that particular moment. You say they don't usually say eye to eye or see eye to eye.
Yeah.
What happens when two people have their foreheads together?
You go blurry. Your eyes are literally eye to eye, but I was gonna say you can't cross.
They now see eye to eye.
But now they see eye to eye.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, Salem, what were yours?
Insight for the end of the episode.
I like it.
I already said mine.
Oh. Wait, what?
Yeah, Skipper. Goodness.
Come on.
Oh, you did say yours. Oh my god. Yep. All right. All right. I'm so used to just throwing the question back. Okay.
Usually it's us and then the guest.
I know.
But usually our guest isn't the host.
I know. Look at this.
Okay. Well, we did it, everybody. We made it through Dark Age. Thank you for taking this amazing, horrific journey with us. Yeah. We hope that you enjoyed it. As much as it probably ripped your heart out, as much as it did ours.
We hope you're ready for Lightbringer.
Yeah, I will say
we cannot wait to
we're so excited.
Lightbringer with you.
But I will say
waiting for months.
Yes. But this episode is probably the last of what the current routine we have seen. Yeah. Because up until now, these are books that Crescent has read who knows how many times. And we've had the weigh-in of the Den that we're all in the same portion. Lightbringer, we already know, is not going to be in that capacity. We're all going to be reading at different speeds. Our assumption is that we will probably... So all of August, we will take to do some fun, different things. We've got an interview with Jenna Sharp coming up. So the week after this airs, we will have a very small teaser of Lightbringer. You can watch it, and for the most part, it does not have spoilers. If you're someone like
It is
me,
as spoiler-free as we could make it.
it's as spoiler-free as we can make it, and it actually divides into two parts. That if you were like me and want absolutely nothing to do, you can watch the first 15 minutes and literally just get us being like, it's great, it's fun, and then watch the next bit, which we'll do still spoiler-free, but slightly more hinty at things. And then, we've got Jenna Sharp, who plays Mustang, and a few other characters in the audiographic versions of the books. We are going to do a community episode that is totally unrelated to Lightbringer.
Entirely. It is just for the absolute levity that people are probably going to need.
Yeah. And there's going to be a few other ones. So for August, we're going to do a Howler Con, what happened in Tulsa.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we're going to do a live one. And then probably a what happened overall. You're going to see us doing
with Howler Pod.
Howler Pod, we have connected with. Hail Reaper owes us an interview. There's a few other.
Hail Reaper is not going to be in
They will
Tulsa.
not be in Tulsa, but we will connect with
We won't have a live crossover, but Skipper and I are going to get to actually do a podcast in the same room. And whether we record that one and the Hail Reaper pod, the Howler pod crossover,
we don't know what's happening.
Time is yet to be seen.
Yeah. So August is going to look completely different, and then September is when we're going to do a deep dive into Lightbringer. Again, we don't know what that looks like, if that's going to be a similar breakdown, and we'll have people rereading along with us. We will be rereading every week, but who knows what you guys, if we create something to follow along, we don't know what September is looking like. But thank you for following along for these first 5 books. It has been so spectacular, especially everyone in the den who's given their insights, remember when we used to do out of context and surveys?
Yeah, those were coming back.
We're bringing back out of context for sure. And that's going to be our September, probably October for Lightbringer. We don't know at this point. And then we're going to go into the deep dives of different...
Yeah.
And then we'll go into deep dives of everything else. So thank you, everybody. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe and like. Follow the Howler's Den. Join us there. And August 1st, we will launch, which is Crescent's birthday, we will launch our Patreon so that you can have even more insight in there, which will be a lot of fun, and you can hear about that a little bit later.
We are really looking forward to interacting with all of you even more.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So thank you. And
thank you, Salem, for joining us
once
again. We're gonna have to book and Mustang things.
We're gonna have to figure out. We're obviously gonna have you a friend of Lightbringer, but we're gonna have to figure out how we incorporate you on at least a once a month basis. We'll figure it out. It's gonna be great.
Figure it out. It's
fine. We definitely don't have easy access to you though, so I'm sure it'll be a pretty difficult thing.
I'm a very important person, so
yeah, you don't just send us your work schedule for me to go this day.
For you to pick a day.
Yeah.
That's definitely not what happens.
No, it's fine.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Good night.